CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Oh, hello. Good morning. It's 6 o'clock on this Monday, July 6th. It's a mix of sun and cloud today. Highs eventually getting to 23 degrees and a humidex of 25 degrees. A little warmth and humidity back into the forecast. We'll get you a full look in just a moment, but right now, the news begins. And here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning. Saanich police are investigating a serious assault that happened in the 4,000 block of Quadra Street just before 5 Friday afternoon. The victim remains in hospital in critical condition. 30-year-old Suleiman Budak has been charged with 1 count of aggravated assault, remains in custody. The victim and the suspect apparently knew each other, according to police. Detectives investigating the case are looking to speak with anyone who may have seen anything or may have video recorded of the evidence of what happened Friday afternoon at 5 in the 4,000 block of Quadra Street. Is a very busy area. Saanich police also have a criminal investigation underway after a vehicle plowed into a power pole. This happened in the 5100 block of West Saanich Road around 7:30 last night. The driver has minor injuries, but witnesses say they watched an erratic driver in the 300 block of Spartan Road prior to the crash. The roadway in the 5100 block of West Saanich was closed for a period of time to collect evidence. Police deployment and staffing is once again on the agenda locally this week. CFAX 1070's Koch Cotton has details.
Vic PD reiterates its plea for more officers in an effort to create a crime reduction unit. The Victoria Police Board have long campaigned for more staff and is now seeking a total of 17 new officers. Some would be used for foot patrol around the city and 8 would be used exclusively for the proposed unit. The matter of police staffing in the city has become a back and forth budget headache for Victoria City Council. However, in a motion scheduled for council later this week, Mayor Marianne Alto says the cost of the new officers is included in the city's 2026 budget under a new framework agreement that guides the allocation of resources between 2 municipalities, the township of Esquimalt and the city of Victoria. Mayor Alto also recommends that the 17 new officers be exclusively used in the city of Victoria. Koch Cadden, CFAX 1070 News.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is set to leave this afternoon for Halifax.
There he is set to tour a Canadian Armed Forces base and announce new measures to make Canada more secure, resilient, and prosperous. His announcement will come ahead of the 2-day NATO summit in Turkey, where he will jet off to tonight. At the summit, massive hikes to military budgets are expected to feature prominently as NATO members remain under heavy U.S. pressure to spend much more on defense. World leaders will also seek to avoid diplomatic friction with U.S. President Donald Trump. Naira Ahmed, The Canadian Press.
A massive data center planned for Olds, Alberta has become a flashpoint in the debate around nascent industry catering to the artificial intelligence boom. Synapse Real Estate Corp has proposed a 10-building complex along with a total of 1.4 gigawatts of natural gas power generation. That's enough electricity to power the city of Edmonton. Beck McIntosh lives about 300 meters from the site and is staunchly against this development.
I'm confident it will not be going ahead, but if some kind of delusion pushed it through against all logic, critical thinking, and reason, we'd sell our home. At whatever loss it was, we're not going to stay here.
The town government is keen on the tax revenue and local jobs that, as it believes, will come with this development. The union representing more than 50,000 nurses in this province says it will put up pickets around the province's largest hospitals starting this week if the strike escalates. BC Nurses Union says in a statement it will picket at Vancouver General Hospital on Tuesday, 5 days after members voted in favor of a strike. The union says it will maintain essential services to protect patient safety, but continues the province-wide refusal of non-essential overtime hours and non-nursing duties. Union President Adrian Gear says nurses don't want to be on the picket line, but adds that the province can no longer ignore the demands of the healthcare system. We're going to hear from Adrian Gear coming up shortly on the CFAX Morning Show. And elsewhere in the World Cup, the U.S. president has found his way into soccer drama, having a phone call with FIFA's president that actually ultimately led to the top U.S. player's suspension being lifted ahead of a key match against Belgium.
Balogun's teammates are relieved, but other teams outraged by FIFA's decision.
It's a bad decision.
As for Belgium, who will now have to defend against Balogun tonight, their coach is mocking the decision, invoking April Fool's Day, saying, "I didn't know that at the World Cup, the 5th of July is actually the 1st of April."
It's not the only controversial red card reversal in this World Cup. Ronaldo could have been sidelined for the tournament, but FIFA also intervened in that case to keep a star on the field. That's your news to 6:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question we're asking, do you support nurses in their targeted job action that is underway? 64% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, also the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. Your news time is 6:06.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning. Today is going to be sunny and warm, maybe a little windy, though, if you're by the Juan de Fuca Strait with some breeze there. Right now we're sitting at 11 degrees in Victoria. We'll get you a full forecast in a moment. Right now, let's get over to the World Cup report after a busy weekend.
This is your TSN Radio FIFA World Cup 2026 update.
I'm John Rodenberg. A wild roller coaster ride saw England hand Mexico a rare loss in a World Cup on home soil with a 3-2 win.
And there ends a World Cup classic. England knock out the co-hosts in their own back garden. Mexico are out of the World Cup.
Jude Bellingham scored twice in 99 seconds in the first half after Mexico clawed one goal back, and with England down to 10 men after a red card, Harry Kane scored from the penalty spot in the 60th minute to make it 3-1. Mexico scored another, but couldn't get the equalizer. England will play Norway in the quarterfinal. Norway's Erling Haaland scored in the 79th and 90th minutes to give Norway its biggest win in history, 2-1 over Brazil. Haaland now tied for the lead in tournament goals with 7, along with Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe. Today, two geographical and soccer rivals will meet head-to-head as Portugal and Spain will meet for the spot in the quarterfinals on the line. Then tonight, the United States will take on Belgium, and the Americans will have striker Bo Balogun back in the lineup after his red card suspension from his last match was overturned by FIFA after a phone call from Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Canada's national men's team arrived in Toronto Sunday night after its best ever World Cup ended with a loss in the round of 16 to Morocco on Saturday. You can watch the FIFA World Cup matches on TSN, CTV, Crave, and streaming at tsn.ca. Listen on the TSN radio network with all games streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
There you go, and let's take a quick look at some of the local sports before we move on. For the Pacific FC, speaking of soccer, they lost 2-1 to Halifax at Starlight Stadium yesterday. It was supposed to be the first game for the new coach of Pacific FC, Terry Dunfield, but he had broadcasting duties related to the World Cup that he was already committed to. I guess some schedules changed. He had to do that instead, so his arrival has been delayed. He will now join the Tridents on Tuesday for his first training session. And for the Victoria Harbour Cats baseball team, they were on the road in Kelowna over the weekend with 3 games. They were swept, Kelowna winning all the games, including yesterday's 9-2 victory over the Victoria Harbour Cats. And that is your CFAX 1070 Sports. It is 6:09. Hey, CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. First of the season, wild Pacific sockeye salmon has arrived. Eat fresh. It's from the ocean, never frozen, delivered daily at Thrifty Foods. To the roads, well, it's pretty quiet right now. Let me know what's going on out there. I know last week with the Canada Day and all that stuff, it was very quiet on the roads. I'd love a sense of how things are shaping up as we get into this week. So give me a text at 71010. If you're out on the roads, you can do so safely and hands-free. I know right now things are looking very clear. I've got no volume delays. As far as I know, no collisions. There was a thing going on from yesterday evening. Actually, Saanich Police say they were dealing with something yesterday that was taking place on, what was it?
Spartan on Saanich?
That's the one. I was just looking at my notes here.
Yeah.
So the road was closed yesterday, but this is like at 7 at night. I think it's all clear now, but all of those problems like that seem to be all cleared up. If you see otherwise, do text me at 71010. Taking a look at BC ferries for today. That's another thing I need to get my notes up for.
It's Monday.
Where's it getting? Case of the Mondays here.
That's how you have a good weekend.
Yeah, it's a great weekend when you can't find your BC Ferries information in front of you. It says 7 o'clock sailing. Lots of room for your car. No sailing waits. That's the situation.
Off time, right?
Yeah. And in the weather forecast, let's dive into this a little more. So a mix of sun and cloud today. More so on to the afternoon is where we'll see the skies really clearing. Could see a few clouds this morning. But it's going to be warm. We're getting a high of 23. A bit of humidity coming back into our forecast. A humidex of 25. So feeling a bit warmer in that humidity. Overnight lows of 11. Quite windy tonight, I'll say, though. That's going to be gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour off the Wandafuka Strait. Tomorrow, it's mainly cloudy. We got a mix of sun and cloud through the week. Temperatures will stay in about the low 20s. Right now in Victoria, it is 11. Opening bells for North American stock markets will ring a little later, so let's take a look at how things closed last week with Aaron Sousa.
Canada's main stock index wrapped last week on a high note. Toronto's S&P TSX on Friday climbed 308 to close at 35,274. U.S. markets were closed for the 4th of July holiday. In Tokyo this morning, the Nikkei fell just 6 points. The Hang Seng in Hong Kong rose 266. Our dollar is trading at 70 and 31 cents U.S. Many federal public servants start a new schedule today. They'll head into the office now 4 days a week, but some will remain at only 3 days due to a lack of office space. Prime Minister Mark Carney is headed to Turkey for the NATO summit. Talks expected to focus on rising military budgets, tensions over Russia, and the U.S.'s unpredictable foreign policy. Canada also planning to tout its own defense spending. And Toronto has wrapped its World Cup hosting, and early numbers are in. The city says despite millions invested, hotel occupancy and spending gains were modest. But experts say Toronto may still come out ahead compared to other host cities. From the Canadian Press Business Desk, I'm Aaron Sousa.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, happy Monday. Thanks for joining us here on CFAX 1070 as we kick off the day. I'm Ryan. Lisa's here. Hey, Lisa. How you doing?
I'm good, yeah. Did you get some sun on the weekend?
Yeah, I think so.
It's kind of hard not to, right?
It was kind of hard not to. I was outside quite a bit, actually. Mm-hmm. It was a lovely weekend, and it's even warmer today as we get into it.
Oh.
Yeah. I did spend a bit of time indoors, though, because I had to watch all the soccer. And sad to see Team Canada bowing out. But, at the same time, I don't think anybody was sad about the overall performance of this particular team that went further in the World Cup of soccer than any other Canadian team has ever made it. And we saw all those first, those first goals, all those first wins, the first time getting to a round of 16 where we eventually got knocked out, of course, by Morocco on Saturday. But a little bittersweet, I guess. Just a wonderful run. Sad that it had to come to an end, but I think there's just a lot of pride rather than a lot of, being too upset. I guess
we're sad, but we're still proud of how far we went. Yeah. I think it's fantastic that Canada did what it did. We should be proud of our team, and I think we are. Yeah. But there was a lot of sad faces because, of course, when you're on that kind of roll, your fingers crossed that we're going to keep going. Now, it just didn't come this time, anyways.
Do you have a backup team, like the next country you cheer for?
So this was a topic of discussion because I was on course all weekend with my motorcycle instructing, and there was big discussion among the students as to who was next because they needed something to jump on. I can't believe the family politics that came out.
Well, that's usually what happens. What is your family connection? Way
Right.
back in your history, what country
And
are you
one
connected
guy
to?
said that his wife was from Portugal.
Right.
But then his brother had this other thought about other teams, so they couldn't actually be in the same room together when the games were on. Like, it was real family drama. And
Yeah.
and they were really trying to, it's like they had a pie chart or a grid going of how they were going to map this out, watching the games moving forward. And then there was the discussion of whose jersey are you going to wear next? What bandwagon are you going to jump on? You go on and keep cheering. And it's not unlike when we're going for the Stanley Cup. And unfortunately, lately the Canadian teams all get weeded out. And we were all cheering for Montreal for a while there. Same idea. But the politics of who's cheering for who, and it seems very political.
Yeah. Who's your backup team? Now, I have dual citizenship. I'm actually a British citizen as well as a Canadian citizen.
I wondered about you.
And so I've hitched my bandwagon to England, and
That's a good one.
And we won yesterday in the wildest game possible. It was in Mexico City against Mexico. England goes down with a red card, still wins 3-2.
Right.
It was an insane game yesterday. So that's me. I don't know who are you hitching your bandwagon
who
to?
are you? Tell us, because I'm curious too, because there were so many different countries being batted around.
Yeah.
And my co-instructor, whose father is originally from England, people were saying, well, you must be cheering for England. He's like, well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
So there's drama there too. So really interesting. And let us know too, possibly if there's drama at your place, because you're on opposing teams.
Texter at 71010 says, sad about Team Canada out of the World Cup. They did a great job, and we should be proud. It was an awesome thing to watch. Thank you, Texter at 71010. 6:17, let's get to the headlines with Lisa.
Well, the federal government has scheduled an announcement about defense procurement for this afternoon as Esquimalt, of course, home for Canada's Pacific Fleet. The statement from the Defense Investment Agency says officials will share new defense investment measures aimed at making Canada more secure and resilient. The scheduled announcement comes plans for Canada to upgrade the aging fleet of submarines. Well, we're learning the Canadian government has chosen a German company to build the new sub fleet. Dozen fleet subs coming in. This, according to CISA, sorted from the Globe and Mail. Germany's TKMS will be awarded the lucrative contract to build 12 new submarines for our country, outbidding that bid from the South Korean firm. The Prime Minister expected to be making that announcement this afternoon official. An out-of-control fire near Boston Bar, BC, has grown more than 10 times its estimated size from a day earlier due to the dry conditions. Responders have requested additional resources to battle those flames. The BC Wildfire Service says the Brunswick Creek fire, as of yesterday, had reached a size of more than 12 square kilometers after first being spotted just last Thursday. The 2 evacuation orders cover areas on either side of the Fraser River near Boston Bar, which itself is under an evacuation alert. Wildfire officials say the Brunswick Creek fire is believed to have been sparked by human activity. There are about 25 active fires burning in the province. We've had about 5 new starts in the past day, and we do have 1 new wildfire here on Vancouver Island. It is just on the north side of Comox Lake, in the ecological reserve area in that area. And it's about well under a hectare in size, quite small. It was discovered yesterday, so crews are battling that and hopefully get a handle on that right away. The unions representing workers who operate and maintain regional services in Metro Vancouver say it is now considering a full-blown strike. The announcement by the Greater Vancouver Regional District's Employees Union comes amid the escalating job action, as union members responsible for caring for 25 regional parks walk off the job. The union president says the union will consider a full strike if it doesn't see significant movement towards some kind of deal. Metro Vancouver says all parts remain open to the public, and residents won't see changes in services such as drinking water, wastewater treatment, and solid waste management. So that is one thing. And that's your news to 619.
Well, in the news, unionized nurses here in BC have begun targeted job action. We're going to find out more about what that could mean for us next. CFAX at 70 traffic and weather is fairly easy going right now. I've got no crashes, no major volume delays on the roads, and no waits at BC Ferries. Everything's looking pretty good to start this Monday, including the weather. It's going to be a warm one today. Mix of sun and clouds, highs of 23, but a bit of humidity in the air with a humidex of 25, so it'll feel like 25 in the humidity. And then there's the wind, so it's a bit breezy through the day, but then tonight, winds gusting up to 70 kilometers an hour westerly off the Wandafuka Strait, lows down to 11, so quite a blustery evening, and then a bit cloudy, a little more unsettled tomorrow. Dry, it's just a little more cloudy, and highs will hit about 21 tomorrow, cooler by the windy water. So that's what's in store right now for temperatures downtown. We're looking at a temperature of, let's take a look here, 12 degrees, which is basically what it is for most of Victoria.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, unionized workers in BC are already starting targeted job action, and it's a labor story that got a lot of attention ever since contract negotiations broke down. So with an update on where things are at, we've got BC Nurses Union President Adrian Gear joining us on the line. Hello, how are you?
Hello, good morning.
Great to talk to you and get an update here. So where are things at right now? I mean, I know that a whole weekend has passed. Things can change quite quickly with these sort of situations. So what's the latest in this?
Yes, well, on July 2nd at 12:01 noon, nurses covered under the Nurses Bargaining Association contract, so predominantly BCNU members, but also HSA, some HEU. We did start a province-wide ban on non-nursing duties. The BCNU members did. And so that's been going on. We've also been restricting overtime. And we've also now announced that at the Vancouver General, starting tomorrow at 05:30 in the morning, we are going to initiate a picket line.
Okay, so the Vancouver will see the first picket line.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, and you mentioned non-nursing duties have been pulled. Could you give me an example of what that means?
Yes, sure. So in this province at any given time, we have more than about 4,500 permanent nursing vacancies. And so nurses work incredibly short-staffed all the time. And anyone who's experienced healthcare has likely seen that and experienced the impacts of it. And so when we're in a legal strike position, one lawful job action is that we can ban nursing duties or work to roll would be another term for it. And so duties that are important in the delivery of healthcare but do not require a professional nursing designation to complete them are duties that we can then, it's considered struck work, things that we no longer will be doing. And then the intention behind that is to not impact patient care, but it is to apply pressure on employers. And so then the employer is supposed to be picking up those non-nursing duties. What we've been seeing throughout the province, certainly not every nursing manager or excluded sort of, employee of the health authority is doing this. But we have a number of very concerning examples where instead of just buckling up and getting the work done, our members are actually being threatened and intimidated and being told that they're going to be reported to their college, the college that holds our nursing license. And so things are devolving, unfortunately. We know we're having impact, but unfortunately, we've decided in part that's one of the reasons why we need to escalate. The other thing that we're doing is we're restricting overtime. This province runs on overtime, and so far, BCNU has authorized every request for overtime. And what I can tell you is that 9 out of every 10 hours requested is simply to meet baseline staffing. It's not for, increased patient acuity or some type of an emergency situation. It is literally just to meet baseline staffing. And so, again, we are not authorizing it. We are authorizing every request so far. And really what that illustrates to us is the fact that, or now we have the proof, the data that really nurses, again, another way that they're holding the system together by coming in and working excessive amounts of overtime.
So that's the situation right now. That's the labor action we're seeing on the part of BC's nurses. And this happened because, there was a contract that was offered and voted on. So this this did get to that stage already, but then that offer was rejected. Is that correct? So tell me why it got rejected. What are you hearing from your members about why it didn't get approved?
Yes, well, certainly just backing that up a little bit further, we did take a strike vote with over 50,000 nurses participating, saying that 98.2% were willing to take some form of job action to secure a collective agreement. That did get us back to the table. It did get us through, certainly some impasses that we are experiencing. But at the end of the day, nurses have rejected the contract by 67%, for various reasons. But what we heard when we were out there, in the ratification town halls talking to nurses, and what we did in the immediate sort of 3 to 4 days after is we surveyed our members, and we had about 25,000 members respond to our survey, just maybe 24,000 within 72 hours. And basically what, the message was, we get it. The bargaining team did the best they could under the current mandate that the employer has set for all public sector bargaining. What it failed to do was to acknowledge, again, the working conditions, the violence, the workload, the inability to provide safe patient care to those that require it in some instances, and that it just, no acknowledgement for what nurses have done in terms of holding the system together through the pandemic, and nurses were like, no, it's not enough.
Is there any sense that bargaining is going to resume anytime?
Well, I can tell you that after speaking to you, I'm going to be heading into talks. We have scheduled after, issuing, initiating our job action. We did get invited back to the table. We were clear we remained available. The bargaining team has been on call, and we're going back to the table today, which, is positive. And at the same time, the health employers have been very clear that they don't have the ability to negotiate anything outside of the mandate that had been determined by government. So, we're willing to go back, and we will, put our best foot forward to try to get an agreement without any movement on government's behalf. I'm not confident that we'll be successful.
We're talking to Adrian Gear, BC Nurses Union President, about the latest in the strike that's underway. Contract negotiations getting back underway today as well. And maybe some picket lines up for the first part in Vancouver tomorrow. Thank you so much for giving us all the updates.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
All right, there you go. That's the situation there with BC's healthcare system. All the latest. We'll get you the CFAX 1070 630 news and all the rest of the top stories of the day next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Broadway Victoria presents Kinky Boots, coming to Royal Theatre from July 7th through 12th. Get your tickets at rmts.bc.ca. Catch all the excitement of summer baseball with the Victoria Harbour Cats. More info at harbourcats.com. Get more event info at cfax1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 6:32 on this Monday, July the 6th. It's going to be a warm one today. We've got highs of 23, but a bit of humidity in the air as well. And then some wind coming in tonight off the Juan de Fuca Strait. So much to talk about in weather. That's coming up in a moment. But first, we get to the news, and here is Lisa Best.
As we've been hearing live on CFAX, a union representing more than 50,000 nurses in this province says it will put up pickets around the province's largest hospitals starting this week, today, as it escalates its strike. The BC Nurses Union said in a statement it will picket at Vancouver General Hospital as of Tuesday, 5 days after members voted in favor of a strike. Union President Adrian Gear live on CFAX moments ago.
I'm going to be heading into talks. We have scheduled after, issuing, initiating our job action. We did get invited back to the table. We were clear we remained available. The bargaining team has been on call, and we're going back to the table today, which, is positive.
The union says it will maintain essential services to protect patient safety, but continues the province-wide refusal of all non-essential overtime and non-nursing duties. Adrian Gear says nurses don't want to be on the picket line. They want to be helping patients, but adds the province can no longer ignore the demands of the healthcare system. The union representing workers who operate and maintain regional services in Metro Vancouver says it's now considering a full-blown strike. The announcement from the Greater Vancouver Regional District's Employees Union comes as part of the escalating job actions, which on Sunday included news that union members responsible for taking care of parks were walking off the job. The union says the workers responsible for 25 popular regional parks, such as Grouse Mountain and the Capilano Regional Parks in North Vancouver, are on strike indefinitely. The union president says the parks will be without workers who fix the trails, collect the garbage, and provide immediate first aid for injuries, among other duties. Metro Vancouver said in a statement that all the parks will remain open to the public during this union action, adding that essential park services are being maintained and that reservations will not be impacted. More on the peace being disturbed near Beacon Hill Park Friday night after a fight broke out involving multiple people near a Mile Zero beach party. Vic PD arresting 2 people, including a teen, following an assault with a weapon on Dallas Road Friday night. 3 people were injured. They've since been released from hospital. A massive data center complex planned for Olds, Alberta has become a real flashpoint in the debate around the nascent industry catering to the artificial intelligence boom. Synapse Real Estate Corporation has proposed a $10 billion development along with a total of 1.4 gigawatts of natural power generation. That's enough electricity to pretty much power the city of Edmonton. Sandra Blythe heads up the town's economic development agency, Invest Olds. She says the town has had to balance hearing residents' concerns and making sure the opportunity also doesn't pass them by.
AI moves fast. So these builds move quicker than any other development I've ever worked with. And the reason for that is that there are large-scale clients that want access to these centers. And so they are looking for the next build.
The town has control over zoning and land use for the data center, while the Alberta Utilities Commission is tasked with reviewing the power plant component. Professional networking platform LinkedIn reeks of AI-generated content ever since chatbots like ChatGPT and Gemini became mainstreamed a few years ago. But career counselor Miriam Groom says LinkedIn is still a goldmine for information that's hard to find anywhere else, and AI hasn't affected that.
This is the information that is a goldmine for candidates, because where else do you have like a database and a directory of like this person could be your boss in your ideal company and you should reach out to them.
Groom says LinkedIn's expansive directory is more important than its blog posts, which allows job seekers to interact with hiring managers or the boss of a company directly. And stateside, the Trump administration continues their efforts to change or alter exhibits at several of the country's museums over the weekend, that including new criticism aimed at one of the world's largest institutes.
In a scathing new report, the Trump administration accuses the leaders of the Smithsonian of being radical activists. President Trump has targeted museums and historic sites he says paints too negative a picture of America's past.
We want the museums to talk about the history of our country in a fair manner, not in a woke manner or in a racist manner.
Last Friday, an appeals court cleared the way for the administration to replace the slavery exhibit in Philadelphia, where George Washington enslaved 9 people. Critics say the administration is whitewashing U.S. history.
And that's your news at 6:37. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question. Do you support BC nurses in their targeted job action underway? 64% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also, the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time is 6:38.
Hey, thank you, Lisa. Let's take a quick look at weather. I'm going to give you the full details in a moment, but just kind of a pleasant, warm day. It's warming up a little bit compared to the last couple of days, but then it gets really windy tonight. Gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour off the Juan de Fuca Strait, so lots to unpack as we get into the weather in just a moment. But first, over to the sports and the local sports. Pacific FC losing 2-1 to Halifax at Starlight Stadium yesterday. And that was supposed to be the first game for the new Pacific FC coach, Terry Dunfield. But so he had some World Cup broadcasting commitments to do. And
Double
I guess,
duty.
Yeah, so he has some schedules changed or something. And so he wasn't actually able to be there yesterday for the game because of his FIFA broadcasting.
Wild.
So he will be there with the team Tuesday in a training session. So that's where he's going to arrive there.
It's going to be here, too.
Yeah,
the
he's going to
show.
be here later the show. We're going to talk to him at the end of the 8 o'clock hour. We don't have a 9 o'clock hour, but we do have an 8 o'clock hour on this show.
Maybe you should change that. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I haven't had a chance to meet this fellow yet, Terry Dunfield, so let's talk about him. He's really interesting. He played for Canada's national team. Speaking of all this FIFA World Cup of Soccer stuff, he did play for Team Canada.
Now he walks the walk.
At one point, he was also, with the Vancouver Whitecaps and some of the teams in the Premier League of England. So we've got all of these great stories to talk about, and including what he plans to do to turn this team around. Pacific FC still scoreless. Winless, not scoreless. Still winless in their season. Victoria Harbour Cats swept by the Kelowna Falcons, including yesterday's 9-2 win over for Kelowna. So Kelowna with every win over the weekend, sweeping the Harbour Cats. And in the majors, Emerson Hancock and the Mariners bullpen extended Seattle's scoreless streak to 24 innings. And Mitch Garver hit a 2-run homer in a 4-0 win over the visiting Toronto Blue Jays yesterday. Toronto was shut out in consecutive games for the first time this season and has lost 8 of its last 10 to drop 6 games under 500. Over to the World Cup of Soccer, there are 2 round of 16 matches in the World Cup today, including one in Seattle between Belgium and the co-host United States. Portugal and Spain also square off in the other game, which will take place in Arlington, Texas. And of course, yesterday, big action. England beat co-host Mexico 3-2, so Mexico's out of this thing. England will move on to take on Norway because Norway edged Brazil 2-1. Some huge games yesterday. And that is your CFAX 1070 Sports at 6:40. 6:42 here on Monday morning. Let's do traffic and weather. And by the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. They're designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Airstage dealer. On the roads, we are looking smooth right now. If you have any issues, let me know at 71010. You see a crash along the way, some kind of closure, maybe just let me know how the commute's looking. Last week was a breeze with everybody off for the Canada Day. Kind of weird, not quite a long weekend, but Wednesday off and people just taking the week off. I'd love to hear how things shape up today. If you give me a sense at 71010, that'd be great. No sailing weights at BC Ferries, and the weather is where things are a bit interesting here because we've got, a mix of sun and cloud today. Highs getting up to 23, some humidity making it feel like 25. That's the Humidex for today. But then tonight, we will see quite a bit of wind coming in. Gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour off the Juan de Fuca Strait. Lows down to 11 degrees. And then tomorrow, kind of a cloudy day. We'll see some sunny breaks. And temperatures a bit cooler, 21, but 15 by the windy Juan de Fuca Strait. The rest of the week, it does clear up, gets a little more calm, I guess. We got this kind of exciting windy patch coming at us, but then kind of just a sunny week with temperatures into the low 20s is what is lying ahead. Right now for the temperatures, if you are in, let's say, Oak Bay by the water, 12 degrees is the temperature. In Colwood, it is 13 degrees. On the markets, opening bells just ringing, so let's take a look at how things closed off. Last week, S&P TSX closed up for 308 points to 35,274. The Dow and the S&P and the NASDAQ and all those other indexes kind of quiet because, American markets were closed for the 4th of July long weekend. Canadian dollar at 70.3 cents US, which is down just a fraction of a hundredth of a cent from the close on Friday.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Speaking of temperatures, texter at 71010 says, good morning from chilly Mill Bay where it's 9 degrees and the furnace is running. Oh, no.
Really?
I hate that when that happens.
Single digits?
Oh, single digits are tough to swallow in July. Mm-hmm. I agree. But I hope it warms up for you there, texter in Mill Bay. And good morning to everybody who's listening all over the island. I love when we hear from listeners up and down Vancouver Island and beyond.
Tell us your temperature.
Yeah, let us know. And people can get this show so many different ways. You can watch on CTV Vancouver Island, just on the regular television. You can stream it on Crave TV if you got that streaming subscription. You can now go to YouTube. Find us on YouTube. You can like and subscribe to the CFAX YouTube channel. And among other things, you can just watch the show live right there.
Very cool.
So many ways to find us. At 6:45, time for the headlines. Here's Lisa.
Thank you, and good morning. You representing more than 50,000 nurses in this province say they will be back at the bargaining table today to continue discussing wants and needs from the province. This is they plan to put up pickets around the province's largest hospital starting next week. I might make that tomorrow. As the strike escalates, the BC Nurses Union said in a statement it will picket at Vancouver General Hospital as of Tuesday, 5 days after most members voted in favor of a strike. The union representing workers who maintain regional services in Metro Vancouver says it's also considering a full-blown strike. The announcement from the Greater Vancouver Regional District Employees Union comes after a part of escalating job action, which on Sunday included news that union members responsible for taking care of parks will be walking off the job. But the province says that the parks, 25 popular regional parks, including Grouse Mountain, will remain open to the public. And health officials say they're warning about a possible measles exposure at an Ontario hospital walk-in clinic. Officials say members of the public who are at a Scarborough Health Network General Hospital emergency waiting room, the Children's Outpatient Clinic, and other clinics in the area could have been exposed. The risk comes from travel-related cases, but officials confirm it is not connected to the World Cup. Officials are advising at-risk contacts to check their vaccination status and monitor for any symptoms. for measles. That's your news to 646.
Well, it's Monday. It's time to get into the garden with Fiona Hammersley-Chambers, who's got garlic on the mind, as we chat with her in just a moment after traffic and weather.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which is
on CFAX 1070.
CFAX at 70 traffic and weather. It is 6:49. Texture at 71010 says, "Oh my goodness, Ryan and Lisa, the temperature at Prospect Lake just went up to 9.4 degrees, just like my Mill Bay buddy. It has not deterred Chunky the Death Cat or Martin Mars." Oh, it's the cats checking in. They have their fur coats on and they're already out exploring. Have a great day from Chris. So, yeah, 9 degrees is not exactly cold, but it feels cold when it's July. I guess that's sort of where we're heading. It will warm up quite a bit today, though. In our weather forecast, we have temperatures getting up to 23 degrees, a humidex of 25, so feeling a little warmer in the humidity. But there's also this wind starting to come in, which is going to be another factor. By tonight, it's gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour off the Juan de Fuca Strait, lows to 11. And then tomorrow, with a few more clouds in store, we will see a high of 21, but feeling a lot cooler by the water with those winds blowing. So that's the situation for the next 24 hours or so. Later into the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's going to be mostly sunny with temperatures into the low 20s, and that will carry on into the weekend as well. For the roads, I've got no crashes or accidents right now, but please do text me at 71010. Let me know how the commute is shaping up here as we get into a new week. After last week was so quiet, is it the same this week? Let me know at 71010.
Getting into the garden.
This ought to be good.
It's very creative. With Ryan and Lisa.
Wow.
Yes, let's get into the garden with Fiona Hammersley-Chambers from a Chosen Farm, who's joining us now on the line, as she often does on a Monday. Fiona, how you doing today?
As usual, we're doing pretty good. Yeah, we're so fortunate where we live. My goodness, you listen to the news, and I think it's important to stop and be grateful.
Take a moment to be grateful for things like where we live, and take a moment to be grateful for garlic, because we're going to talk about garlic today on the chat. What's going on here?
Oh, well, it's almost time to harvest your garlic. So what to look for? We on the coast here, unfortunately, are a little prone to some fungal diseases like white rot, touch wood we don't have here, and what to look out for.
Okay, so garlic, we're not talking about planting it now, we're talking about harvesting it now, stuff that you would have planted previously, which you actually often around these parts can plant in the kind of into the fall and winter. Is that right?
You should plant in the fall, because then in coastal BC it has time to root and start to grow, get established, and you get bigger garlic than if you had planted it in February.
Okay, so but you can plant it like right at the end of fall? Like what is the best month in the greater Victoria area to put your garlic in the ground?
Generally mid to late October.
Okay, so if you planted it around about then, now is the time, or getting close to the time, you should think about pulling it?
Correct. And even if you planted it in February, you're still going to be close to the time to be pulling it now. It's just your bulbs will generally be a bit smaller.
Okay. Now, how do you know when it's time?
Okay, so sorry. I'm not being able to resist these golden raspberries that are sitting on the edge of the top. One day you'll have to come and taste them. I like them a lot better than the red raspberries. Their flavor is more complex and they have a bit less acid.
Oh, the golden raspberries?
Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
Fun. Okay. That'll be another topic for another day. But garlic, okay, what are you looking for when you're pulling it?
We're looking for 4 or 5 leaves that have died back. And that tells you that the plant is taking that energy and it's pulling it down into the bulb to mature the bulb and make the bulb bigger.
So you're watching for the first few leaves to start to die back?
Yes.
Okay.
And so with garlic, it's in 2 kinds. You have hardneck garlic, and then you have softneck garlic. If you see those pretty braids at the farmers markets with flowers and things in them of garlic bulbs, that's softneck.
Okay.
And hardneck is a bit different because obviously it has a hard neck. It grows a little bit taller. You've got that more rigid stem, so you can't really braid it. The other thing with hardneck is hardnecks will make garlic scapes. So those are the green sort of flowering parts that come up from the garlic, and you want to snap those off. So that's another thing to look for right now is your garlic scapes. Are they ready? And they should be ready. So you want to snap those off and eat them. Pickle them, make them into pesto, do lots of things. You can just chop them up and freeze them too for using later in the winter. But you want to snap those off because you want the plant to focus on making that bulb bigger rather than reproducing vegetatively through the tip. So they're not going to make flowers in the way that you're used to seeing flowers, but what they're going to make is little things called bulbils, which is essentially a tiny little bulb. So if you're ever worried about disease in your garden, things like white rot, which is a fungal disease that we do tend to get on the coast here, you can save the bulbils. So don't cut the scapes off. Let those little bulbil clusters develop. Don't pull that garlic quite out of the ground yet. And what you can do is save those and then plant them in October. And that's a good way of breaking a disease cycle like white rot, because that's in the soil and in the bottom part of the plant, not at the tip.
Oh, okay. So, and again, this is describe this bit. Are you calling it a ball what?
Bulbil. B-U-L-B-I-L.
A bulbil, and it's sitting up on top of the main bulb?
Yes.
Okay.
So the main bulb has a stem that comes up, and in hardneck garlic, you get these things called bulbils, and they're essentially just clones of the garlic itself.
Huh. And that's the thing, you can plant that, and you don't need to plant the main bulb that I guess you're going to eat.
Yeah, except with bulbils, what happens is it's going to take you 2 years to get a full-size garlic.
Oh.
But you think of as a garlic bulb out of them?
Huh.
Because you're going to plant them in the fall, they're going to grow up, and then you're going to harvest them again next July, but they will be single. They will not have differentiated into cloves. They'll still be a single bulb, just a bigger one. So they'll go from a tiny little bulbil to a reasonable-sized garlic clove by July of next year. Then you pull those out and plant those in October, and then in that second year is when you get a full-sized garlic again.
Huh. And if you are planting garlic, you can also just plant the little cloves, right? Like that's what you can stick in the ground to grow new garlic?
That's what you normally would do, yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So whereas it might be around about the time you're starting to see those first few leaves dying back on the garlic, time to pull it. What else do we need to know about garlic harvest time?
Well, what you do when you pull your garlic is you want to pull it on in weather when you have a few days where it's not going to be raining. So pull it, and ideally you just leave it down, laying down in your garden, maybe on the grass path or something. You're going to do what's called curing. So you're going to leave it for a day or so on one side, and then you're going to flip it over so that it can be exposed to the sunlight for a second day on the other side. After that happens, what you do is you pick them up and just gently with a pair of garden gloves or a cloth, you just want to dust them off. So don't hose them with water. Just let that soil dry, let the outer skin dry, and then dust that off. Then what you're going to do is braid them if they're soft neck, or just bunch them if they're hard neck. And then you want to hang them somewhere to cure. And that's a process whereby the rest of the energy and the water that's in the plant is going to be drawn down into the bulb. So it cures your bulbs so they last longer, and you get better quality in general if you let it cure. So you want to hang those somewhere that is out of sunlight, has reasonable air circulation, but isn't that hot. So back of your garage would be perfect.
That's interesting. So even though you've picked it, the curing process is not just about letting it dry out. There's actually stuff going on. There's energy still being transferred from the leaves and whatnot down into that bulb. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, and the other thing you want to do at that point is you want to look for any signs of disease, and you can look online for white rot signs. That's a fungal disease, as I mentioned, that we do unfortunately get on the coast here, and we're very careful at the farm here about not bringing in any garlic from outside unless it's certified disease-free, and we don't buy stuff at farmers markets or in the grocery store and bring it back and plant it here, because once you get white rot, you're kind of stuck with it. It can last in the soil for up to 50 years without a host.
What?
So,
50?
Yeah.
50? Oh.
Yeah, 50. It's not good. It's not as bad as tobacco mosaic virus, but it's pretty up there.
Okay, you don't want that. You don't want that.
No, and the spores are pretty sophisticated. They're going to lie dormant in the soil until they come in contact with the growing tip of an allium, so an onion or a garlic.
Okay, avoid that. So another reason to cure it, check it, make sure it's got no signs of disease when we're talking about garlic, because it's about the season. We're out of time, though, Fiona.
Thanks, Ryan. Talk soon.
Okay, quick break. 7 o'clock news next on CFAX.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It is 7 o'clock on this Monday, July 6th. It's going to be warm today. Mix of sun and cloud. Highs up to 23 and a little humidity making it feel even warmer. I'll get you the full forecast in a moment, but right now the news begins and we say good morning to Lisa Best.
Good morning. Police deployment and staffing once again on the agenda this week locally. CFAX 1070's Koch Cotton brings you the story.
Vic PD reiterates its plea for more officers in an effort to create a crime reduction unit. The Victoria Police Board have long campaigned for more staff and is now seeking a total of 17 new officers. Some would be used for foot patrol around the city and 8 would be used exclusively for the proposed unit. The matter of police staffing in the city has become a back and forth budget headache for Victoria City Council. However, in a motion scheduled for Council later this week, Mayor Marianne Alto says the cost of the new officers is included in the city's 2026 budget under a new framework agreement that guides the allocation of resources between 2 municipalities, the Township of Esquimalt and the City of Victoria. Mayor Alto also recommends that the 17 new officers be exclusively used in the City of Victoria. Koch Cadden, CFAX 1070 News.
The federal government has scheduled an announcement about defence procurement happening this afternoon in Esquimalt, of course, the home to Canada's Pacific Fleet. A statement from the Defence Investment Agency says officials will be sharing the new defence investment measures aimed at making our country more secure and resilient. That announcement comes amid plans for us to upgrade the aging fleet of submarines. On that note, the Canadian government has apparently chosen a German company to build Canada's 12 new subs. This according to sources cited by the Globe and Mail. Germany's TKMS will be awarded the lucrative contract to build the 12 new submarines for our country, beating out a bid from a South Korean firm. The union representing more than 50,000 nurses in this province says it will be putting up pickets around the province's largest hospital this week as it escalates its strike action. Union President Adrian Gear from CFAX earlier.
At the Vancouver General, starting tomorrow at 5:30 in the morning, we are going to initiate a picket line.
Gear says they are heading back to the table to talks today, but she says she's not feeling confident about it at this point. The union says it will maintain essential services to protect patient safety, but continues the province-wide refusal of all non-essential overtime hours and non-nursing duties like paperwork and such. Most of us are aware of the perils of signing up for free trials or reduced rates for subscriptions. You can run into a lot of trouble when you try to cancel it. A lot of loopholes and challenges. The Better Business Bureau data from the Pacific Northwest shows nearly 40,000 complaints and 9,000 negative reviews ties to these kind of related reoccurring charges over the past 24 months. Cameron Nakashimi outlines the frustration he noted from customers who are trying to navigate the cancellation process.
People report that they'll have to email or chat, and there might be several different steps to the process there that they have to go through.
He says having those subscriptions stay flat in your account adds up to a lot of money over time. Speaking of money, professional networking platform LinkedIn reeks of AI-generated content ever since chatbots like ChatGPT and Gemini became mainstream a few years back. Career coach Ariel Henning-Wood says LinkedIn is still important for networking, but so is meeting person to person.
I hear more and more professionals saying like, oh, LinkedIn is just like the same old and the content is boring and I'm not actually building relationships there. Then get off of the platform and go to a networking event.
LinkedIn recently increased its scrutiny of AI-generated content and comments, suppressing the reach of content that appears repetitive or automated. The World Cup's been a bonanza for a lot of North American cities, Toronto aside, that hosted the matches. But for gambling, it's a different story.
Kalshi, the biggest of the prediction markets, saw more than $31 billion in volume in June, compared with $18 billion in May. Dune Analytics says that since the beginning of World Cup competition, Kalshi has handled $1 billion a day. Pollingmarket, which watched its volume fall in April and May, saw trading of $10.8 billion in June. By the way, France is Kalshi's odds-on favorite to win the 2026 World Cup. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
In case you're wondering, details surrounding that little wedding in Madison Square Garden in New York City are slowly emerging. We'll have more coming up on the show about Travis and Taylor's nuptials. That's your news to 7:05. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning, we're asking if you support BC nurses in their targeted job action. About 2/3, 64% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 7:06.
Thanks, Lisa. Good morning. We have sunshine after a few clouds this morning coming at us. A little warmth to the day as well with a high of 23, humidex of 25. Full forecast to come. Already 14 right now at the airport. We'll get you a full forecast in a moment. Right now to the sports, and we will start with the World Cup of Soccer. So much going on here. We have the 2 round of 16 matches to come today at the World Cup, including one in Seattle between Belgium and the co-host United States. Portugal and Spain square off in the other game. But on that U.S. game, there's been a bit of controversy. So one of the big stories out of the FIFA World Cup right now is U.S. President Donald Trump intervening on behalf of American star forward Florian Balogun, whose 1-game suspension because of a red card was lifted in a decision that will allow him to play in that World Cup match tonight with Belgium. Balogun, who has 3 goals, received the red card in Wednesday's 2-0 win over Bosnia-Herzegovina. FIFA announced yesterday that the suspension was lifted, triggering praise from Trump, outrage from Belgium's side, and it's got a lot of people wondering what was going on behind the scenes. Okay, so that's going on there with today's World Cup action. In soccer locally, Pacific FC lost 2-1 to Halifax at Starlight Stadium. That was supposed to be the first game for new Pacific FC coach Terry Dunfield, but he had some World Cup broadcasting duties, and I guess with schedules it didn't quite work out. So his arrival with the team will actually come tomorrow in a training session for Pacific FC. Victoria Harbour Cats at baseball swept by the Kelowna Falcons, including Kelowna's 9-2 win over Victoria yesterday to close out that 3-game series over the weekend. In the majors, Emerson Hancock and the Mariners bullpen extended Seattle's scoreless streak to 24 innings, and Mitch Garver hit a 2-run homer in a 4-0 win over the visiting Toronto Blue Jays on Sunday. It closed out the 3-game series, and Toronto was shut out in consecutive games for the first time this season. And Toronto's lost 8 of its last 10 to drop 6 games under 500. And a cool story involving Canada's Summer McIntosh, who has broken another swimming record. The swimming sensation set a new standard in the women's 200-meter butterfly with a time of 2 minutes, 1.65 seconds at Canadian trials. That topped a mark that stood for more than 6,000 days. McIntosh now owns 4 world records, but says this one extra special.
Yeah, it was a really emotional moment for me. This is something that I've been working on for a really long time, and getting so close to it after World Championships in Singapore, then it became a possibility. So to now do it on the first day of trials is a great way to kick off the meet.
And Canada's Félix Auger-Aliassime had a win to advance to the quarterfinals at Wimbledon. Here's reporter Lisa Laporte.
The Montreal native had 27 aces to just 4 double faults in the men's singles tennis match that went 5 sets. The 3rd-seeded Auger-Aliassime will next face 7th-seeded and 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic. Djokovic beat Roman Safiullin Sunday for a record 106th career win at Wimbledon.
And that's your CFAX 1070 Sports to 7:10. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. First of the season wild Pacific sockeye salmon has arrived, fresh from the ocean, never frozen, and delivered daily. Eat happy at Thrifty Foods. On the roads, it's clear. Very little traffic volume. I was really curious about how today would shape up because last week was very quiet, kind of a holiday week. Was this week going to be the same? So far, I would say yes, Lisa.
Yeah. Still a lot of people out of town.
Still very quiet. Although, if I'm wrong and you do see a problem out there, let me know at 71010. There's a couple things to point out that will not be a thing right now, but are coming at us later today. Like Keating at Central Saanich Road. So just, they got the brand new Keating flyover. Just kind of as you, I guess, come off the flyover, they're going to have that fully closed overnight tonight, that little intersection there. Okay. And then again tomorrow night for some finishing work. So watch out for that as a factor. Not now, but later tonight. And then this texter at 71010 had a heads up for drivers. The intersection of Rock Bay Avenue and Gorge Road East will have the lights turned off with traffic control on site between 9:15 and 3 p.m. today. That's from a listener who I guess has some inside knowledge. Some work expected there. For the weather forecast, it is going to be a mix of sun and cloud today, clearing later this afternoon. We'll see quite a lot of wind tonight, gusting up to 70 kilometers an hour. So big winds coming, and that's going to make things cooler if you're near the water. But otherwise, the high today is 23 with a humidex of 25. Tomorrow, a little more cloudy, a little windy, a little cooler. It's only a high of 21 with a high more like 15 if you're by those breezy coastal conditions. And then for the rest of the week, it kind of settles into just some sunshine, a few clouds, and temperatures in the low 20s. We've been kind of mentioning for parts of Victoria, it was a little cool overnight, like relatively speaking. People complaining about 9 degrees because that does feel cold when it's July.
Exactly.
But this texter here says, hey, I'm checking in from Portage Inlet, east-facing deck. The temperature dial, not directly in the sun yet, but it's already registering 17 degrees Celsius. So yes, the sun already has some warmth in it and no furnace on here from this listener. Thanks so much for checking in at 71010. All right, on the markets, first look at the results of the day. Fairly muted on the S&P TSX in Toronto, up just a single point to 35,276. The Dow is down 171 to 52,728. NASDAQ up 247 to 26,079. Canadian dollar at 70.3 cents U.S., which is down just 1/100 of a cent or so from the close on Friday.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, as Lisa's been talking about in the news, it's kind of submarine day today for Canada. We're expecting the Prime Minister to make an appearance in Halifax, where he's expected to announce, is it the German bid or is it the South Korean bid for building Canada's new fleet of 12 submarines. Right. Now, there is a couple of little side stories here. One, you've been mentioning in the news that not only is this announcement happening in Halifax, there's this other announcement happening in Esquimalt later today. Yeah. They haven't said what it's about, but I think people are kind of connecting dots here. Yeah. That in Halifax, one announcement's going to happen, and there'll be something else happening in Esquimalt to hear about new defense investment measures. So I bet you these are connected. We'll have to watch Esquimalt today as well. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, Lisa, we haven't heard yet, so the Prime Minister hasn't made the announcement, but the Globe and Mail newspaper, I'll give them some credit, is suggesting that they have an inside source who's saying it's the German bid.
Right.
So that news is already starting to leak out that German's TKMS is the company, have been selected, although the official announcement yet to come. So that's the submarine scuttlebutt so far.
A big scuttlebutt. Canada's project involves paying 30 to 50 years of maintenance, a contract over its entire lifespan, estimated value of more than $100 billion.
Yeah.
Big money in this. So who parked their sub in Esquimalt recently?
It was the South Koreans.
It was, eh?
Yeah.
Huh. Didn't work if that's the case.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack once we find out officially. And the other thing too, back to the Esquimalt announcement, is you just mentioned all those dollar figures there. I mean, a lot of that money is expected to get spent right around here because we were hearing that the maintenance facility would be here at CFB Esquimalt.
That's a lot of jobs.
And we had the Admiral on a couple of weeks ago, months ago, and he was suggesting that over on the Colwood side of Esquimalt Harbor, that's where they would build a big submarine maintenance facility. So who knows? Maybe that's what we're going to expect out of this announcement today. Maybe from the Esquimalt side of things. It's a big story to watch. We're going to keep on it.
Yeah, it's big money. Industry sources are saying the sub order itself for a dozen subs, $12 billion.
It's submarine day.
Have a sub in celebration.
Yeah, it's true. It's
all the jobs that are coming here.
Make yourself a long sandwich in honor
Right?
of Summery Day.
And then sink it.
All right, it's 7:16. Let's get to the headlines. What else is going on?
Ottawa's making other promises, too, to simplify procurement processes to make it easier for small and medium-sized businesses to land federal contracts. Procurement Minister Joel Lightbound is in Toronto today announcing plans to fix the chunky mechanisms that have made it very difficult for small businesses to win federal work. The government says starting this summer, Public Services and Procurement Canada will be redesigning contracts with small business in mind to ensure the proportional work's being done. The department says by the end of the year, it will try to put most of its tenders into plain language for applicants and find other ways to reduce the administrative burden on prospective vendors. Last month, the federal government lowered the threshold for its Buy Canadian policy to a minimum contract value of $5 million from its original at $25 million, expanding the number of federal tenders that must prioritize domestic businesses and materials. Stateside, the U.S. president is marking the launch of his new investment accounts for children. Donald Trump says the accounts are absolutely incredible for kids. He also said the accounts will help children become very wealthy people. Donald Trump rang the opening bell at the Oval Office. He hosted officials from the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ to commemorate the launch. The Treasury Department introducing the Trump accounts as of Saturday, which was July 4th, enabling contributions and providing an updated app for parents to fund accounts and access financial education tools. Details surrounding those little nuptials in New York City are slowly emerging. Travis and Taylor, of course, tying the knot on their honeymoon now, I suppose. Adam Sandler officiated that wedding as Swift's brother, Austin, served as a man of honor, and Kelsey's brother, Jason, was best man. Guests say you would have never known you were in Madison Square Garden. They walked first through a tunnel that features photos of the couple and then passed through a so-called secret garden. The reception featured performances from Stevie Nicks, Paul McCartney. Also, it was attended and catered by the couple's favorite New York City restaurants. That is your news to 7:18.
Well, Canada knocked out of the FIFA World Cup of Soccer on Saturday in that loss to Morocco, but I think Team Canada with its head held high. This country very proud of what this team did, making it further than any other Canadian team. But it's not the end of the World Cup for Canada in the sense that BC Place Stadium will still be hosting one more game. Toronto's finished, but BC Place Stadium still has a game to come. And it's been kind of cool watching all of these activities going on in Vancouver and in Toronto and seeing Canada as a host. One of the aspects to this which is interesting is the fact that there's a lot of volunteers that have come from all over BC, including here in Victoria, to go over there and work. And,
thousands of volunteers.
Yeah. And I'm kind of curious what it's been like to be one of those volunteers. If you remember a few months ago, I think, we spoke to one of the Victoria guys who got picked to be a volunteer. He had to go over and do tryouts. He actually went and did tryouts for being a volunteer. We talked to him back then about that process. His name is Ryan Clark. So he got selected and we talked to him then. So we thought we'd reach back out. And now that he's been doing it, what's it been like to be in Vancouver, being a FIFA volunteer, being on that side of the World Cup? So
all that experience.
We're going to find out next. CFAX 1070 Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season and big savings on your heating bill, talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. Designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. As been mentioning, I've been wondering how today would shape up, and it's shaping up kind of like last week. It's easy. There's not a lot of folks out there commuting. If you are commuting from, say, the West Shore into downtown Victoria, it is easy peasy. I don't see any traffic volume to speak of, and I don't see much in the way of crashes or other problems. This texter, though, at 71010, letting us know about some road work coming later today. Texter says, good morning, Ryan and Lisa. The intersection of Souk and Machosen will be under construction with the delays for sewer main work between the hours of 9 and 3 p.m. today, also tomorrow, and then again on July 15th. So watch out for that coming a little later. No sailing waits at BC Ferries, and for the weather forecast, it's a pleasant day with some heat coming into it. We'll see a mix of sun and cloud, highs of 23, a bit of humidity with a humidex at 25. Clear skies tonight, but wind really starting to become a factor overnight with gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour and lows down to 11.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, a lot of us have been watching the World Cup of Soccer, hosted in part by Canada at places like BC Place Stadium in Vancouver. But what's it been like to actually be behind the scenes at this thing? My guest is a FIFA volunteer from right here in Victoria, Ryan Clark, who's been going over for all of those Vancouver games. Ryan, hello. Great to get you back on the show.
Good morning, Ryan. Thanks for having me back.
And we spoke a couple of months ago when you first went to do the tryouts to try to become a volunteer, because that's how they work this. And now here we are. You're well into it now. In fact, getting near the end with one more game at BC Place Stadium coming up tomorrow. Will you be heading over for that one?
Yeah, I have a shift for the last match, which is the seventh match that BC Place is going to be hosting. So pretty excited to be part of the last one.
So what kind of stuff do they get you doing? Like, what is a day in the life of a FIFA volunteer as you head over for a game like tomorrow's?
Well, as you know, we spoke originally as part of the tryout process. You get to select from a long list of different volunteer options, your top three. And it ranges from everything from beverage services to the fan experience, meeting people at the various venues or various celebration centers, or an actual role within the stadium. And I was very fortunate to be selected for the media operations team. So this team arguably has some of the most access to the field and to the whole fan experience within the stadium. So I've done everything from supporting photographers and journalists trying to get access to the various workrooms where they have, helping photographers get their bibs that they wear when they're on the field. I've helped clean up garbage off the pitch before a match, and also done the very famous ropes, which you'll see before any match. There's 4 volunteers that corral photographers, literally corral with a rope, to let them get the first shot of the games as they flip the coin and do the handshake and get the team photos prior to the kickoff.
Oh, but you're like really close to the action there. You're on the field sometimes like that. How does that feel?
The energy is something I could not have described to you when we first spoke, 6 months ago. I was very fortunate to have a shift. These on-shift fields are quite coveted because there's a number of different roles that volunteers are given, especially in my group. But I was on the field for the last match, July 2nd, which was Switzerland versus Algeria. Standing there with the ropes prior to the match, the video cameras and the TV cameras were all over the place. And they captured me standing behind the Switzerland coach, listening to the Swiss national anthem. My family took a screenshot of the TV as it panned through. So I haven't done a lot of photos because as volunteers we're not allowed to take photos on the field. But I have a screen grab of me standing there stoically listening to the Swiss national anthem behind the Swiss coach and the team. So that's a pretty fun memory right there.
What an incredible experience. Ryan, what were some of the things that have happened so far that you were not expecting?
The things that I weren't expecting, I thought this to be quite a solitary journey as a volunteer. But on my team, the media operations team, we have a WhatsApp thread that we use to communicate just to help coordinate, who's working what shift. Logistical things, I forgot this piece of my uniform, who can help me out? It's actually turned into this thread, this multicultural thread of people from different parts of the world, who are cheering for different teams, who have passions outside of football and soccer that are sharing. This whole community has exploded for me, which is so reflective of, what they call the beautiful game, which really does bring the whole world together. And I feel very fortunate to be part of this very small micro community that is part of the bigger, broader spectrum that is FIFA.
Now, when Team Canada kind of got knocked off of the course that kept them at BC Place Stadium, because we saw them play there for a couple of the games. Then they ended up going down to the States for that final game on the weekend, but and before that as well. Did that change the atmosphere at all when, Canada wasn't there anymore and it was these other countries, or did the excitement level and that sort of vibe in the city stay high?
I was there for that match where Canada lost to Switzerland 2-1 on June 24th. The feeling in the stadium was so electric, but it was a very Canadian vibe. People singing Canada, people cheering on Team Canada. When Team Canada, really no longer is in the picture anymore, that has just been replaced by other nations. This match with Switzerland versus Algeria, where I was last Thursday, it was a sold-out house, 54,000 people. And I'm going to tell you, 52,000 were from Algeria. I have never seen so many people cheering on one team. There was one little sliver of Swiss fans up on the fourth level who were, making themselves known. But all these matches are bringing people out, and Vancouver is a very multicultural city. It's an incredible vibe that you're experiencing as you walk down the streets. All of that is being reflected within the stadium for all these matches. So even though Canada is out, the world, the global vibe does continue, and people are showing themselves to be fans of whatever teams are playing that day.
We're talking to Ryan Clark. He's a FIFA volunteer. He's from Victoria, but he's been going over for the games at BC Place Stadium. It's almost over. He's got one more of these. BC Place Stadium will host one more game tomorrow, and then that's it for Canada as far as being the host nation. One last question for you, Ryan. Now that it's almost over, would you do it again? Was it worth it?
100%. I've had a pretty busy couple months, and this has been the absolute highlight. I'm walking away with a couple of very exclusive FIFA pins that I'll wear on my various garments, and I hope to pass them down to my daughter to help inspire her to be a volunteer and get involved in similar activities like this, because it's been really put Vancouver and BC on the global map.
Hey, thanks for sharing those stories, and good luck with the final one tomorrow.
That's great. Thanks for having me.
And we'll talk all about what's happening at the World Cup, because we got sports coming up in just a moment. We got traffic and weather, and of course the news with Lisa at 7:30. All next.
Where the noise stops and the conversation begins.
Hey, it's Friday. Welcome to the Graham Richardson Show.
The stories that shaped your week aren't just headlines. They are the moments we live through and the decisions that change what comes next.
Let's take a closer look at that together.
It's national conversations, from major policy shifts to the fun, unexpected trends and friends everyone will be talking about. It is intelligent, unpredictable, and completely Canadian. Stay informed. Stay ahead. The Graham Richardson Show, Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 7:32 on Monday, July 6th. A bit of a warm day today, but a lot of wind overnight. We'll get you a full forecast in a moment. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
I ran in on West Saanich, closing that route last night for a couple of hours. Saanich police have a criminal investigation underway after a vehicle apparently plowed into a power pole in the 5100 block of West Saanich Road around 7:30. The driver has minor injuries. Witnesses told police they did watch a driver driving erratically in the 300 block of Spartan Road prior to the collision. A portion of West Saanich Road was closed, so if you're in that area and you noticed, that's why. The Saanich Police Major Crime Unit is investigating a serious assault that happened in the 4000 block of Quadra just before 5 Friday afternoon. The victim remains in hospital in critical condition. By the way, that's Quadra Mackenzie, that area, in case you're wondering. 30-year-old Suleiman Budak has been charged with 1 count of aggravated assault. He remains in custody. The victim and the suspect apparently knew each other. Detectives investigating the case are asking to speak with anyone who may have seen this assault or may have dash cam or recorded video of the incident. The union representing more than 50,000 nurses in this province says it will put up pickets around the province's largest hospital this week as it escalates its strike action. Union President Adrian Gear was on CFAX earlier.
At the Vancouver General, starting tomorrow at 5:30 in the morning, we are going to initiate a picket line.
Adrian says talks are resuming today. They're going back to the table, but she doesn't have much confidence in it right now. The union says it will maintain essential services to protect patient safety, but will continue its province-wide refusal of non-essential overtime hours and non-nursing duties. Prime Minister Mark Carney making tracks to Halifax today.
There he is set to tour a Canadian Armed Forces base and announce new measures to make Canada more secure, resilient, and prosperous. His announcement will come ahead of the 2-day NATO summit in Turkey, where he will jet off to tonight. At the summit, massive hikes to military budgets are expected to feature prominently as NATO members remain under heavy U.S. pressure to spend much more on defense. World leaders will also seek to avoid diplomatic friction with U.S. President Donald Trump. Naira Ahmed, The Canadian Press.
The latest weekly federal tracker from Liaison Strategy shows the Liberal Party, led by the Prime Minister Mark Carney, is holding a 9-point lead over Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives. Among decided and leading voters, the Liberals have 43% of the vote, followed by Conservatives at 34%. The NDP trail at 14%. Among all voters, the Liberals at 37%, the Conservatives 30%, NDP at 12%. Liaison surveyed 1,500 plus Canadians between June 21st and last Saturday. Rogers Communications says it has inked a deal to buy the remaining 25% stake in Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment that it doesn't already own, paying another $4.35 billion to claim it.
Rogers' chief executive says it's a defining moment for the company. MLSE owns the Toronto Maple Leafs, Toronto Raptors, Toronto FC, and the Toronto Argonauts. The transaction is subject to league approval. Rogers expects the deal to close in the fourth quarter of this year. In addition to MLSE, Rogers owns the Toronto Blue Jays, Rogers Centre, and Sportsnet. Hannah Stoles, The Canadian Press.
And that is your CFAX News to 7:35. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking, do you support BC nurses in their targeted job action 64% saying yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best, your news time, 7:36.
Thank you, Lisa. We are looking at a warm, sunny day. A few clouds to start the day, but sunnier as we go. Highs up to 23, humidex of 25, so feeling a little warmer. Right now, already warming up. At the airport, the official temperature is 14 degrees, but I'm seeing some warmer temperatures already, like 18 degrees at the University of Victoria in Saanich. Full forecast to come right now. CFAX 1070 Sports. Lots to talk about. Let's talk about Summer McIntosh, Canadian swimmer. She's broken another record. The swimming sensation set a new standard for the women's 200-meter butterfly with a time of 2 minutes, 1.65 seconds at Canadian trials. That topped a mark that stood for more than 6,000 days. McIntosh said she could feel the crowd pushing her to the finish.
The crowd was always loud throughout the whole race, but I could tell on the last 50 that I must have been close to world record pace just based off how loud the crowd was, and that really kept me going and motivated me to get to the wall.
The 19-year-old from Toronto won 3 gold medals at the Paris Olympics just 2 summers ago. Over to CFAX 1070 local sports. Pacific FC losing 2-1 to Halifax at Starlight Stadium in a game that was originally going to be the first game where new Pacific FC coach Terry Dunfield showed up. But he got a little delayed. He's had some World Cup responsibilities because he's a FIFA World Cup broadcaster. So he had to delay his arrival. He will now show up on Tuesday, tomorrow, at team practice. For other local sports, Victoria Harbour Cats were swept over the weekend by the Kelowna Falcons, including yesterday's 9-2 win by Kelowna over Victoria. And to the World Cup of Soccer, a couple of things coming up today, including the United States and Belgium in Seattle. So that's one of the 2 games. The other one's Portugal and Spain in the knockout round of 16. This one, though, the American game's got a bit of controversy because U.S. President Donald Trump apparently intervened on behalf of American star forward Florian Balogun, who had a 1-game suspension because of a red card. That was lifted. At least the suspension was kind of delayed. It was postponed in a way that will allow him to play in the match tonight. The Belgian fans are furious, and Donald Trump's involvement is being questioned in the controversy hitting the world of the World Cup right now. That's what's happening in sports. It's 7:39. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season. Big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. So no crashes, no accidents right now. Things are looking very clear. The West Shore commute from, the Colwood, Langford, West Shore area, all the way into downtown Victoria looking very clear right now. Only just sort of the slowdown through the construction zone on the Trans-Canada highways. The only thing showing up on my radar right now, just people going 60 in the place where they're supposed to go 60 as they widen the Trans-Canada highway for those bus lanes. If you see any other problems, crashes, accidents, or just sort of giving me a sense of the commute, you can text me at 71010. BC Ferries, no sailing waits. The weather, a high of 23 today with mostly sunny skies eventually. Humidex at 25, so a little more humid and muggy today. But then tonight, big gusts of wind. 70-kilometer-an-hour gusts off the Wandafuka Strait. Windy if you're by the strait there. That's kind of the story with lows down to 11. Tomorrow, mainly cloudy, high of 21, but cooler by the windy water, feeling more like 15 there. So that's the biggest kind of unsettled blippy day is Tuesday. Then we go back to some mostly sunny skies and temperatures to the low 20s for the rest of the week. And right now, it is 14 officially at the airport. the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto starting to make some losses after starting the day fairly flat. Now it's down 207 points to 35,067. The Dow in New York is down 100 to 52,799. Canadian dollar at 70.3 cents US.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
Well, at the end of last week, the big story we were following, of course, was Alberta's proposal for a South Coast pipeline to take oil, turning some heads. This agreement between BC and the feds, and then Alberta as well, still needs some unpacking. So here to help us with that, we've got the federal Green Party leader, as well as member of Parliament for Saanich Gulf Islands, Elizabeth May, joining us on the line. Hello, how are you?
I'm great, Ryan. Good morning to you.
I understand you were serving strawberries yesterday.
Yeah, and never let it be said that politicians from different orders of government and different parties can't work shoulder to shoulder, because we had Lana Popham and I and Dean Murdoch, council members, Karen Harper. We're good at it. Every year we gather at and in the park there. It's just gorgeous by Elk Lake, and the park is full of happy people and a fantastic, always terrific Commodore band playing swing tunes. And we're really good at serving up ice cream, and we now have a non-dairy vegan option and strawberries. And we're not quite a well-oiled machine, but boy, we handled hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, I don't even know how many, of strawberry specials, and it was grand.
The Saanich Strawberry Festival, always a good time out there by Elk and Beaver Lake. That's so cool. Glad you had a good time. But let's talk about pipelines here. And I want to, maybe we'll do this. Let's set this up and get your overall thoughts. But I would love to talk about Roberts Bank, the terminal where it sounds like this thing will end. So, taking oil from Alberta all the way to that spot right by the BC Ferry Terminal. So, I don't know. I feel like this really strikes home just because I can really visualize that terminal, because when you get off the Tsawwassen Ferry, you look over, there it is. You see it. I mean, it's a coal terminal right now. Could oil be going from there as well? Let's talk about that in a moment. But first off, just your overall take on what we heard out of all of these levels of government last week.
What we really had was the BC government, obviously David Eby and Mark Carney doing this Carney style, doing a deal with lots of questions yet to be answered, like where the money comes from. And then the same kind of an announcement from Daniel Smith and Mark Carney. Again, it's very strange for me as a federal party leader, because in contrast with previous governments, even opposition parties that were small, like mine, we were always consulted and brought into discussions, at least. This is different. This is Carney reaches out to provincial premiers and bypasses other federal parties, bypasses Parliament as much as is possible. And what we had here was what I think was to create the impression that British Columbia's concerns were addressed. So instead of going for what Daniel Smith had said she wanted when the first Alberta-Canada MOU came out, if you're losing track of these things, they come fast and furious. But the first one was November 27th last year, was Carney saying he was prepared to go along with a new pipeline. I won't call it an oil pipeline. Call me persnickety, Ryan, but it's a dilbit pipeline. It'll be diluted bitumen, which is a substance, as a lot of listeners will probably remember from when we were fighting the Kinder Morgan pipeline. Dilbit can't be cleaned up in the marine environment. At least there is no known example of it. The technology isn't there to do it. Never mind, we had the threat that they were going to lift the oil tanker moratorium in northern BC. And Chief Marilyn Slett and the North Coast First Nations made it very clear that that was not on, and as did, I think, almost every British Columbian who knows anything about the Hecate Strait. And the reasons that we have an oil tanker moratorium, which have almost nothing to do with climate, that's been in place since the early 70s as a voluntary measure to protect our coast, because the waters of Dixon Entrance and Hecate Strait are just too dangerous to put oil tankers through there. Well, fast forward to now, what Daniel Smith and Mark Carney also said, okay, now I'm putting forward a proposal for a quote-unquote southern route. And it sounds to people who don't know a lot about building pipelines, like, oh, well, this has already been done. Trans Mountain Pipeline is already built. So they follow the same route. Well, not really. You can't really follow the same route when you've already done directional drilling to put tunnels under rivers. It's not. It left an open passage for the next pipeline, right? You're still building a pipeline. But the southern route, the real shocker here, too, is that it would bring Dilbit out, as you just said, to Roberts Bank, to a proposed terminal, which has received all its federal approvals before, but it didn't have a financial backer before. And now the federal government's saying, okay, we're going to throw $10 billion more at building Roberts Bank. Now, the Roberts Bank terminal is already massively opposed by an interesting combination of First Nations and trade unions and scientists and environmental groups, obviously the Green Party, yes, because Roberts Bank expansion, leave aside that it becomes a terminus for Dilbit and tankers now, was proposed to, because the Port of Vancouver is famously known as one of the least efficient ports in the world. And it's primarily inefficient, and we know this from looking at our windows. If you look out at Plumper Sound and you see all those anchorages, all those freighters just sitting there waiting to move, those aren't oil tankers. Those are mostly container ships, and they're also mostly not only container ships, but bulk carriers, as you just mentioned, for coal and for grain. And the Port of Vancouver is hugely inefficient at organizing shipping from the existing port at Delta. So Roberts Bank, fast forward, has been very controversial because they propose to continue infilling and building out from the terminus we all see, as you say, at Swanson, building out and basically taking hundreds of hectares of essential critical habitat for a number of species and turning it into a terminus originally only for container ships and expanding the efficiency for bulk carriers.
Look, I gotta hold you there for 1 second, just because we gotta pick that up in 1 second, because we got traffic, weather, and Lisa's headlines. But when we come back, follow up on that Roberts Bank terminal expansion and where we're at now. So we're going to get back to that with Elizabeth May, Green Party leader, right after this. And here with the headlines, it's Lisa.
Thanks, Ryan. Good morning. 25 active wildfires across the province coming out of a warm weekend. There's been 6 new fires sparked in the last 24 hours. A new fire on Vancouver Island is currently being held by crews at 0.2 of a hectare of 5 acres in size off a logging road just north of Comox Lake. Crews have requested additional resources for a fire that's burning out of control near Boston Bar. That has grown more than 10 times its estimated size from a day earlier. Wildfire officials in the Brunswick Creek fire believe that one was sparked by human activity. The federal government has scheduled an announcement about procurement, defense procurement, for this afternoon in Esquimalt, of course, home to Canada's Pacific Fleet. A statement from the Defense Investment Agency says officials will share new defense investment measures. This comes as Canada plans to upgrade the aging fleet of submarines. The Canadian government, according to the Globe and Mail, has chosen the Germany company to build Canada's new sub-fleet. Germany's TKMS will be awarded the lucrative contract to build the subs for Canada, beating out a bid from a South Korean firm. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has demanded allies present clear plans to meet spending targets at the annual summit underway tomorrow in Ankara. The 32-nation agreed last year to invest 5% of GDP on defense spending. Spain endorsed the goal but believes it can meet security needs without spending as much. Some countries are struggling, though, with the old 2% target. That includes Canada. Today, Rutte says European allies and Canada are expected to invest $258 billion more in the defense in 2025 than in this year. He says this comes ahead of a crucial 2-day summit starting tomorrow, with the U.S. scaling down its security role in Europe. And that is your news to 7:50.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Broadway Victoria presents Kinky Boots, coming to Royal Theatre from July 7th through 12th. Get your tickets at rmts.bc.ca. Catch all the excitement of summer baseball with the Victoria Harbour Cats. More info at harbourcats.com. Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX traffic and weather. It is 7:52. No crashes or major incidents on the roads. Text me at 71010 if you see something. And in the weather, a mix of sun and cloud today. Highs hitting a high of 23, but the humidex of 25 is there, meaning it's going to feel a little muggy today, a little warmer than that stated temperature you see on the thermometer. Right now, we're looking at 14 degrees as the official temperature at the Victoria International Airport.
Let's get started. Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
And we're back to our conversation. We're talking about the new pipeline being proposed by Alberta, from Alberta all the way to now BC's South Coast. And we're talking about it with Green Party leader Elizabeth May. Thanks again for being here and holding on the line there.
Well, Ryan, forgive me for diving too deeply into the weeds. I apologize to your listeners, too. This is just complex stuff.
Oh, no, it's all good. Yeah, and I'm sorry I had to cut you off. No,
No, you have to. Traffic and weather and Lisa come first.
Exactly.
It's complex because it's easy to, you know how Steve Bannon and the Trump people, and I'm not accusing Carney of being like Trump, but the term flood the zone applies. You just can't keep up. So they've already approved, and bear in mind that although Alberta's government screams as though the federal government has reduced its ability to export oil, bitumen and oil exports from Alberta are at an all-time high. Justin Trudeau got no thanks for it, certainly not for me, for wasting $36 billion of federal money to build the Trans Mountain Pipeline, which the federal government did. And it, as we know, ends at the terminus in Burnaby. Since they did that, it hasn't diversified where we send our product. It's still 90% goes to the U.S., but never mind that. Fast forward to now, we've already approved, the federal government in the last month approved dredging Burrard Inlet to allow tankers to more heavily and fully load at that port in Burnaby. So there'll be more dilbit per tanker. That's already approved. Dredging in Burrard Inlet will do substantial damage to the ecosystem there. We'll see what the Tsleil-Waututh Nation says about that. Meanwhile, that's approved, so that's more dilbit moving out of the existing pipeline terminus. The new pipeline terminus, building a brand new pipeline along roughly the same route, we understand, will lead out to this new expansion that hasn't been built but is approved at at Roberts Bank, expanding from where the existing coal port is. But this Roberts Bank expansion is heavily opposed, but it was reviewed for its environmental impacts, but not as a tanker export terminus. It was reviewed for what it would mean for expanding the regular traffic at the Vancouver Fraser Port Authority, largely bulk carrier freighters and container ships. Now we're going to be saying that is going to be where we're going to be loading for overseas export of dilbit. That's approved, and the dredging of Burrard Inlet is approved. And now they're saying, guess what? Despite the multiple statements that we needed a private sector proponent for Alberta's pipeline across BC, we don't anymore. This announcement between, I've mostly talked about Carney-Eby announcements, now going to Carney-Smith. The proponent is going to be, guess what? The Crown Corporation, created for pushing through the Kinder Morgan pipeline, now the TMX pipeline. So the Trans Mountain Crown Corporation is going to be 50% owner and builder of this. There is no private sector builder. There's a private sector consultant in Pembina Pipelines out of Alberta. So the two proponents of this new pipeline are the Alberta government, with Pembina Pipelines, I think, sort of a fig leaf to make it look like there might be some private sector interest. No one who wants to make money wants to build this pipeline, let's be clear. And the last one we built cost us $36 billion. And if we're making enough off the pipeline to pay the interest on the money we borrowed to build it, that's about it. So they say, it's Tim Hodgson, our Minister of Energy, says, it's making, I think he used the word oodles of money. Well, no, Tim, you can't, I don't know what kind of accounting he ever did, but you can't say you're making money till you pay off the $36 billion federal dollars, public money that you took to build the damn thing. So now they say we're going to build another one, and it's going to end up at Roberts Bank. And again, back to Roberts Bank, the multiple species that are threatened with extinction from building Roberts Bank, much less operating it, include the southern resident killer whale, numerous other species, the western sandpiper, And the threats of running this pipeline, the new pipeline, will again be running down the Fraser River, and new fisheries biologists are putting out statements of the threat to our salmon. Particularly, we're looking at multiple species. And again, the Carney administration has already passed a bill that says if we decide it's a major project, we can skip all the approvals. We can just bulldoze through. So they passed that last June in Bill C-5. No project has yet gotten that designation. I hear that a lot of private sector proponents don't want to be the first because they figure they'll be challenged in court all over the place, because that bill is really, it's never been done before that any government has used the King Henry VIII clause, which King Henry VIII, of course, invented, which says if in passing this law, I break other laws I already passed, that's okay because I'm the king. No prime minister has ever used that. So in terms of what it means for us locally, I'm really worried that southern British Columbia's waterways, the Salish Sea, the waterways out from Burrard Inlet to the ocean, are basically a sacrifice zone so we can keep our oil tanker moratorium on the North Coast.
Well, there you go. We've got to leave it there. But Elizabeth May, Green Party MP, trying to unpack it. I get it. There's a lot going on here. And thank you so much for unpacking it all there with us as we continue to digest the pipeline news.
Well, the fight's not over yet. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Yeah, we'll talk again soon, I'm sure. We got to take a break, though, because the 8 o'clock news is next. Much more to come on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8:01 on Monday, July 6th. It's going to be a warm, sunny day. A few clouds out there this morning, but mostly sunny skies expected today. But then the winds really kick up tonight. We'll get you a full forecast in a moment. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan, and good morning. The union representing more than 50,000 nurses in this province say they'll be putting up pickets around the province's largest hospital tomorrow as the strike escalates. Union President Adrian Gear on CFAX earlier saying nurses surveyed shared their issues with the earlier contract.
What it failed to do was to acknowledge again the working conditions, the violence, the workload, the inability to provide safe patient care to those that require it in some instances, and no acknowledgement for what nurses have done in terms of holding the system together through the pandemic. And nurses were like, no, it's not enough.
The nurses union says it will maintain essential services to protect patient safety, but continue the province-wide refusal of all non-essential overtime hours and also non-nursing duties. The union representing workers who operate and maintain regional services in Metro Vancouver say it's now considering a full-blown strike. The announcement from the Greater Vancouver Regional District Employees Union comes as part of the escalating job action in that city, which, as of yesterday, included news that union members responsible for taking care of parks will be walking off the job. That's about 25 regional parks involved with that, including Grouse Mountain. The union president says the parks will be out those who fix the trails and collect the garbage, among other duties. Metro Vancouver said in a statement that all parks will remain open to the public during the union action, adding that essential park services are being maintained and reservations won't be affected. More on the peace broken in Beacon Hill Park Friday night involving a fight with multiple people at a Mile Zero beach party. Vic PD say they arrested 2 people, including a teen, following an assault with a weapon incident on Dallas Road that night. 3 people were injured, luckily all non-life-threatening injuries. A massive data center complex planned for Olds, Alberta has become a flashpoint in the debate about the industry catering to artificial intelligence booms. Synapse Real Estate Corporation has proposed a 10-building development alongside a total of 1.4 gigawatts of natural gas power generation, which is about enough electricity to power the city of Edmonton. Sandra Blythe heads up the town's economic development agency. She says the town has had a hard time balancing residents' concerns to make sure they don't bypass the opportunity as well.
AI moves fast. So these builds move quicker than any other development I've ever worked with. And the reason for that is that there are large-scale clients that want access to these centers. And so they are looking for the next build.
The town has control over zoning and land use for the data center, while the Alberta Utilities Commission is tasked with reviewing the power plant component. Professional networking platform LinkedIn reeks of AI-generated content ever since chatbots like ChatGPT and Gemini became mainstream a few years ago. But career counselor Miriam Groom says LinkedIn is still a great spot for information that's hard to find anywhere else, and AI hasn't altered that.
This is the information that is a gold mine for candidates, because where else do you have like a database and a directory of like this person could be your boss in your ideal company and you should reach out to them.
Groom says LinkedIn's expansive directory is a very important tool to have, more than its blog posts, that allows job seekers to interact with hiring managers or the head of a company directly. And signing up for those free trials and reduced rates for subscriptions, we've all seen it, and most of us bypass a lot of times because the trouble you come to when trying to cancel it is big. Leads to frustration as we try to call in or use an online chat system to go through that complicated multi-step system to get rid of it. Cameron Nakashimi is with the Better Business Bureau. He says their data from the Pacific Northwest shows thousands of similar complaints about cancellations.
There was nearly 40,000 complaints and 9,000 negative reviews about subscriptions, memberships, free trials, and related reoccurring charges that just within the last 24 months. And this is not just a niche issue that we're looking at, right? We're seeing that this is something that's happening to a lot of people. And when those payments continue to come in and people are trying to cancel, those amounts of money can really add up over time.
Definitely buyer beware. That's your news to 8:06. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking you about the nurses' strike. Do you support the nurses in BC and their targeted job action? 67%, more than two-thirds, say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Best, your news time is 8:07.
Thank you, Lisa. We have 14 degrees on the thermometer right now as the official temperature at the Victoria International Airport, but we're seeing temperatures much higher already for some areas. It's 18 degrees at the University of Victoria, for instance. We got 15 downtown. Lots going on in the weather. We'll tell you all about it next. Right now, over to the sports, and we will start with your World Cup report.
This is your TSN Radio FIFA World Cup 2026 update.
I'm John Rodenberg. A wild roller coaster ride saw England hand Mexico a rare loss in a World Cup on home soil with a 3-2 win.
And there ends a World Cup classic. England knock out the co-hosts in their own back garden. Mexico are out of the World Cup.
Jude Bellingham scored twice in 99 seconds in the first half after Mexico clawed one goal back, and with England down to 10 men after a red card, Harry Kane scored from the penalty spot in the 60th minute to make it 3-1. Mexico scored another, but couldn't get the equalizer. England will play Norway in the quarterfinal. Norway's Erling Haaland scored in the 79th and 90th minutes to give Norway its biggest win in history, 2-1 over Brazil. Haaland now tied for the lead in tournament goals with 7, along with Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe. Today, two geographical and soccer rivals will meet head-to-head as Portugal and Spain will meet for the spot in the quarterfinals on the line. Then tonight, the United States will take on Belgium, and the Americans will have striker Bo Balogun back in the lineup after his red card suspension from his last match was overturned by FIFA after a phone call from Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Canada's national men's team arrived in Toronto Sunday night after its best ever World Cup ended with a loss in the round of 16 to Morocco on Saturday. You can watch the FIFA World Cup matches on TSN, CTV, Crave, and streaming at tsn.ca. Listen on the TSN Radio Network with all games streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
There you go. And speaking of soccer, I just want to give you a couple of local things. Pacific FC losing 2-1 to Halifax at Starlight Stadium yesterday. It was supposed to be the first game for Pacific FC. Brand new coach Terry Dunfield. He had broadcasting duties, though, due to the World Cup, and it kind of caused a conflict. He couldn't be there yesterday, but he's going to arrive, we understand, tomorrow for a training session. So the coach is still about to unite for the first time with his new team, and he's going to join the program later this hour. We're going to meet Terry Dunfield, new coach of Pacific FC, at the end of this hour, so stay with us for that. Also, Victoria Harbour Cats in baseball swept by the Kelowna Falcons over the weekend, including yesterday's 9-2 win for Kelowna over Victoria. That's your sports to 8:10. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods for the salmon lovers. First of the season, wild Pacific sockeye salmon has arrived, fresh from the ocean, never frozen, and delivered daily. Eat happy at Thrifty Foods. Okay, over to our traffic and weather. Still nothing in terms of crashes or those kind of problems on the roads, and the volume delays remain very light from the West Shore into Victoria. Not much happening. Not a lot of folks commuting today. Seems to be the way it's shaping up, but if you see any other problems, let us know. We will have a full overnight closure kind of just as you get off the Keating flyover, the new Keating flyover where it hits Central Saanich Road. Tonight and tomorrow night, full closure there as they do some wrap-up work to that project. Watch it for that coming at you later on tonight. And for the weather forecast, let's get to that next. It is a mix of sun and cloud today. Highs of 23, a little humid as well, so feeling quite warm in the humidity. Then the wind shows up. So sometime into the evening or overnight, gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour off the Juan de Fuca Straits. It's quite breezy, lows to 11. And then tomorrow, with a few clouds in store, it could feel quite cool if you're by those winds. We'll have a high of 21 tomorrow, but 15 is the predicted temperature where the winds blow on shore. Cloudy periods kind of with us just for tomorrow. Then it clears up on Wednesday, back to some sunshine and temperatures into the low 20s. And that just takes us right through the week and maybe even into the weekend in our long-range forecast. Right now, the airport temperature has gone up to 16, so that's the official temperature for Victoria, where the records are kept. But it's a little warmer in some places. 17 degrees in Colwood by the water right now. On the markets in Toronto, S&P TSX down 198 to 35,076. The Dow is down 55 to 52,845. And the dollar at 70.3 cents U.S., which is just still sitting kind of where it's been all day, just down slightly from the close on Friday.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Hey, thanks for being here as we continue to talk about a bunch of the news going on, including that big pipeline news from last week. Lisa, we had Elizabeth May, Green Party leader, on just at the end of last hour, giving her reaction to this. I don't think anybody would be surprised that the Green Party is against the pipeline and some of its implications for our waterways specifically here. I had a whole bunch of text messages. I didn't get a chance to get into any of these during the conversation just because we were kind of jam-packed there, but I just wanted to get to some of your texts for that topic. This texter at 71010 says, hundreds of ships transit through the Hecate Strait every year, including massive LNG tankers. Why does Elizabeth May think that a northern route is not safe, especially since ships are already in that area all year long? That's a question that's come up a lot because, of course, BC has been pushing a lot of the natural gas expansion, LNG tankers. I get the sense from talking to Elizabeth May, not just now, but previously, that it's this substance, as she called it, the dilbit, the diluted bitumen that she argues is different to clean up if it were to spill than LNG, which is why maybe it's a difference.
It makes sense. What's being shipped?
Yeah, and she says it's bad to clean up. This texter, though, says Western Canada Marine Corporation can and has cleaned up diluted bitumen. They did a spill in 2007, says this texter. Like any other hydrocarbon, you can clean it up, but it has to be done quickly. The texter closes by saying, I work in spill response, so know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And then this texter, 71010, says, what's different given 3 to 5 U.S. oil tankers use our waterways daily? I'd rather see Canadian families prosper over leaving them dry while being virtuous and not taking a risk. So that's a couple of our text messages on the topic.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a tale of two sides, right?
Yeah.
Either way, it seems like we're moving forward.
Yeah. No. So that's the story so far. That was just the reaction from Elizabeth May and the reaction from you at 71010. Thanks, as always, for joining the conversation.
Always good to weigh in.
And being a part of things. Oh, hey, can I just do something really quick, Lisa?
Ryan, you do you.
Okay. I do like to ask permission.
We'll
Okay.
wait here.
Because I want to talk about this.
Okay.
Big win, bigger impact.
Kids Count Mega Summer 50-50.
So this, of course, is the fact that we have this giant 50-50 going on right here on CFAX. This is so cool. And it's, of course, in support of CFAX Santa's Anonymous and the Kids Count program, which is how Santa's Anonymous helps kids in Greater Victoria beyond Christmas. Have you heard? We've got a 50-50 raffle. It's like summer long and radio station wide, and the jackpot is now at $2,030. So this is just like a standard 50-50 you might see at the hockey game. You buy a ticket, the pot gets so big, the winner, after the draw at the end of this thing, will take half the money, and the charity, in our case, CFAX Santa's Anonymous, will take the other half. It's over $2,000 now, Lisa.
Now we've hit a new threshold. And the good news for this is many of the 50-50s that we deal with are at the ballpark or the hockey game, where it's at the end of the night. This is going till nearly the end of August. So you've got time.
The draw happens Friday, August 28th at 7 a.m. But look how long you've got to buy a ticket.
But don't wait.
Don't wait, though. Buy now. Here's where you can go. To make it easy on yourself, just do this. Go to CFAX1070.com or CFAXSantas.com. And one of the first things you'll see is like a big old button, which is the Mega Summer 50-50. You click on that. It'll take you to the page, and you can buy your ticket.
Yeah.
Single ticket's $10. 5-pack for $25. 20-pack for $50. It's the Kids Count Mega Summer 50/50. All right, at 8:17 now to the headlines. Here's Lisa.
The Canadian government has chosen a German company to build Canada's new sub-fleet. The two senior industry sources with knowledge on the process have confirmed to CTV that Germany's TKMS will be awarded the lucrative contract for 12 new submarines. Prime Minister Mark Carney will officially make the announcement apparently at around 1:30 our time on the East Coast in Halifax before he heads off to the NATO Leaders Summit in Turkey. This is first reported by the Globe and Mail. TKMS is the world's largest manufacturer of non-nuclear submarines and supplies approximately 70% of NATO's fleet. The contract over its entire lifespan has an estimated value of more than $100 billion. And according to industry sources cited by Reuters, the sub order itself is estimated to be about US $12 billion, which works out to $1 billion a sub. Ottawa is promising to simplify procurement processes to make it easier for small and medium-sized businesses to land federal contracts. Procurement Minister Joel Lightbound is announcing plans today for the chunky mechanisms that have made it difficult for small business to win federal work. He wants to streamline things for business. The government says starting this summer, they'll be redesigning contracts with small business in mind to ensure that requirements are proportional for the work being done. The department says by the end of the year, it will try to put more of its tenders into plain language for applicants and find other ways to reduce the administrative burden for prospective vendors. And the U.S. president is launching a new investment account for kids. Donald Trump says the accounts are absolutely incredible for children. He also says they'll help children become very wealthy people. Donald Trump ringing the opening bell at the Oval Office as he hosted officials from the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ to commemorate the launch. And that's your news to 8:19.
Thank you, Lisa. BC nurses planning to escalate their strike action to the point of picket lines. That's what we heard from the nurses union when we spoke to them right off the top of the show. If you missed it, we're going to talk about that next. CFAX Dead 70 traffic and weather. The time in Victoria is 8:21. Here's an example of how easy the commute from the West Shore is right now as we kind of continue this holiday-like commute. It's only taking you 23 minutes from Costco area of Langford, so kind of around Millstream. That part of Langford all the way into downtown Victoria is only taking you 23 minutes right now, and that is a breeze compared to the way it can be. It's an example of how we're kind of still in an easygoing kind of commute. Maybe folks are still off for the summer. Who knows what's going on? But you can text me at 71010 if you if you have any updates about crashes or anything, but nothing like that right now. The weather's looking great too, except windy, weirdly, tonight. So we got a mix of sun and cloud today. Highs up to 23, but a humidity in the air. And then it gets really blustery and gusty off the Juan de Fuca Strait, up to 70 kilometers an hour. So that's nothing to sneeze at. So some pretty strong winds tonight. Lows down to 11. Then tomorrow, mainly cloudy. We'll still see some wind. It might not be quite as strong as overnight, but still a bit breezy. In fact, that'll make it feel quite cool if you're by the Juan de Fuca Strait. Highs of 21, but 15 where the winds blow onshore. Then we go back to some sunshine with temperatures into the low 20s for the rest of the week. Maybe some wind here and there. But tomorrow and kind of overnight tonight seem like the most unsettled of our days this week. Right now, the official temperature at the airport has reached 16 degrees. Oh, and a texter at 71010 says, "Good morning, Ryan and Lisa. I missed when you mentioned the amount the 50-50 raffle is up to. Could you please repeat the current total?" Yes, I can. The Mega Summer 50-50 for Kids Count. And CFAX Santa's Anonymous actually has gone up since I last said it.
Well,
It's
that's
now,
good.
so somebody must have bought a ticket in the last couple of
Yay.
minutes.
Good for you.
$2,000.55. So
Okay.
$2,055.
I'm also keeping a running total on CTV Vancouver Island if you're watching this morning. That'll be up there every day for you.
Love it.
Keep
Thanks
track.
for, hey, let's keep that total going higher. I bet you we can make it much higher by the end of August.
I'm sure we
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, let's talk about healthcare in BC and the nurses' strike. I got this text message right here, Lisa, saying, "Now in panic mode because I have a scheduled procedure coming up at Royal Jubilee Hospital. Will it be done? Will they try to stop me from trying to park? I'm very confused. I need answers." Well, I don't have any answers for you about that, texture, but I do know that the BC nurses continue to strike, although earlier this morning they went back into negotiations.
Right.
We talked to Adrian Gear, who's the president of the BC Nurses Union, right off the top of the show. So this was back a couple of hours ago. For those just waking up, I'll bring you up to speed. So as we know, last week they went on strike. And they started pulling things like overtime and what they described as non kind of nurse healthcare related duties.
Like paperwork and things like that.
I guess that's what it was. She didn't really explain it too well, but they've already started that. As of tomorrow, picket lines are going up. They say in Vancouver, so I don't know if that helps you at all. But if you've got a Royal Jubilee procedure, texter,
you'll be okay.
As far as I know, the first picket lines aren't going to be here. They're going to be in Vancouver.
Correct.
But where it goes from there, what kind of escalations are going to happen, I'm afraid I can't tell you.
Well, we'll certainly bring it to you as soon as, and they will tell us in advance.
Yeah.
So we'll have that for you as it happens. But right now, it is Vancouver General only.
Yeah. So here's what Adrian Gear told us this morning for those who missed it.
Yes, well, on July 2nd at 12:01 noon, nurses covered under the Nurses Bargaining Association contract, so predominantly BCNU members, but also HSA, some HEU. We did start a province-wide ban on non-nursing duties. The BCNU members did. And so that's been going on. We've also been restricting overtime. And we've also now announced that at the Vancouver General, starting tomorrow at 05:30 in the morning, we are going to initiate a picket line.
And if you recall, the reason we're here is because they already had a deal that was kind of reached previously, but in voting, the members rejected it, and they've gone to the strike action since then. So here's Adrian Gear talking a bit about how we got here.
At the end of the day, nurses have rejected the contract by 67%, for various reasons. But what we heard when we were out there, in the ratification town halls, talking to nurses, and what we did in the immediate sort of 3 to 4 days after is we surveyed our members, and we had about 25,000 members respond to our survey, just maybe 24,000 within 72 hours. And basically what, the message was, we get it. The bargaining team did the best they could under the current mandate that the employer has set for all public sector bargaining. What it failed to do was to acknowledge again the working conditions, the violence, the workload, the inability to provide safe patient care to those that require it in some instances, and that it just, no acknowledgement for what nurses have done in terms of holding the system together through the pandemic, and nurses were like, no, it's not enough.
Is there any sense that bargaining is going to resume anytime?
Well, I can tell you that after speaking to you, I'm going to be heading into talks. We have scheduled after, issuing, initiating our job action. We did get invited back to the table. We were clear we remained available. The bargaining team has been on call, and we're going back to the table today, which, is positive. And at the same time, the health employers have been very clear that they don't have the ability to negotiate anything outside of the mandate that had been determined by government. So, while we're willing to go back and we will, put our best foot forward to try to get an agreement without any movement on government's behalf, I'm not confident that we'll be successful.
That's the voice of Adrienne Gear, BC Nurses Union President. She was speaking to us back around 6 o'clock this morning, just before, as she mentioned, she was heading into those talks. Not overly confident in those talks that she was heading into, but as we speak right now, they'll be kind of locked away and talking. This was from earlier this morning, just giving you a sense of how the BC Nurses Union strike is progressing, with picket lines expected in Vancouver tomorrow. We'll leave that for now. We got more stories coming up with the 8:30 news. Lisa, best is your top stories of the day, including the fact that it's Submarine Day. Canada expected to make that decision. What'll it mean for Canada and for CFB Esquimalt? We'll be talking about that too, all next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island. Broadway Victoria presents Kinky Boots, coming to Royal Theatre from July 7th through 12th. Get your tickets at rmts.bc.ca. Catch all the excitement of summer baseball with the Victoria Harbour Cats. More info at harbourcats.com. Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning, 8:30 on Monday, July the 6th. A warm one today, bit of mugginess in the air, but then some winds coming at us tonight. Right now, 16 degrees. Full forecast to come. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you. Police deployment staffing once again on the agenda this week locally. CFAX 1070's Koch Cotton brings you the latest.
Vic PD reiterates its plea for more officers in an effort to create a crime reduction unit. The Victoria Police Board have long campaigned for more staff and is now seeking a total of 17 new officers. Some would be used for foot patrol around the city and 8 would be used exclusively for the proposed unit. The matter of police staffing in the city has become a back and forth budget headache for Victoria City Council. However, in a motion scheduled for Council later this week, Mayor Marianne Alto says the cost of the new officers is included in the city's 2026 budget under a new framework agreement that guides the allocation of resources between 2 municipalities, the Township of Esquimalt and the City of Victoria. Mayor Alto also recommends that the 17 new officers be exclusively used in the City of Victoria. Koch Cadden, CFAX 1070 News.
The federal government is scheduling an announcement about defence procurement this afternoon in Esquimalt. A statement from the Defence Investment Agency says officials will share new defence investment measures aimed at making our country more secure. That scheduled announcement comes amid plans for the country to upgrade the aging fleet of submarines. 12 are being bought. Prime Minister Mark Carney making an official announcement this afternoon around 1:30 our time in Halifax. The Canadian government apparently has chosen a German company to build Canada's new subfleet. This according from sources cited from the Globe and Mail. Germany's TKMS will be awarded the lucrative contract to build a dozen new subs for Canada, beating out a bid from a South Korean firm. The latest in Ukraine, Russia attacking Ukraine with missiles and drones overnight, killing at least 21 people in and around the capital city, Kyiv. All of Moscow's ballistic missiles reaching their targets, unfortunately. More from ABC's Britt Clement.
3 large apartment blocks partially collapsed, some apparently taking direct missile hits with helicopters ferrying water from the river to tackle fires still burning in Kyiv. And for Kyiv's residents, this was another terrifying night of explosions and air defense fire overhead, underscoring President Zelensky's argument that without more advanced interceptors, Ukraine's cities will remain dangerously exposed.
This attack comes after a weekend phone call between the U.S. President and Russia President Vladimir Putin, and coming before tomorrow's NATO summit meeting in Turkey this week. The union representing more than 50,000 nurses in this province say it will be putting up picket lines around the Vancouver's largest hospital, the Vancouver General Hospital, as the strike escalates. Union President Adrian Gear, it was on CFAX earlier.
At the Vancouver General, starting tomorrow at 5:30 in the morning, we are going to initiate a picket line.
The union says it will maintain essential services to protect patient safety, but continues its province-wide refusal of all non-essential overtime and non-nursing duties. Most of us are aware of the perils of signing up for free trials or reduced rates for subscriptions. We sometimes run into a lot of trouble attempting to cancel it. The Better Business Bureau data backs that up. From the Pacific Northwest alone, 40,000 complaints and 9,000 negative reviews tied to these kind of reoccurring charges in the past 2 years. Cameron Nakashima outlines the frustration he's noted from customers attempting to navigate the cancellation process.
People report that they'll have to email or chat in, and there might be several different steps to the process there that they have to go through.
Meanwhile, the professional networking platform LinkedIn has a lot of AI-generated content on it ever since chatbots like GPT and Gemini became mainstream. Career coach Ariel Henning-Wood says, let that not daunt you. LinkedIn is still important for networking, but so is meeting face-to-face.
I hear more and more professionals saying LinkedIn is just like the same old and the content is boring and I'm not actually building relationships there. Then get off of the platform and go to a networking event.
LinkedIn recently increased its scrutiny of AI-generated content and comments, suppressing the reach of content that appears repetitive and automative. And the World Cup has been a bonanza for online gambling.
Kalshi, the biggest of the prediction markets, saw more than $31 billion in volume in June, compared with $18 billion in May. Dune Analytics says that since the beginning of World Cup competition, Kalshi has handled $1 billion a day. Polymarket, which watched its volume fall in April and May, saw trading of $10.8 billion in June. By the way, France is Kalshi's odds-on favorite to win the 2026 World Cup. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
That's your CFAX News to 8:35. Our CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning, we're asking you, do you support BC nurses in their targeted job action? More than two-thirds, 67% say yes. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time is 8:37.
Hey, thanks, Lisa. It's going to get windy tonight. But right now, quite pleasant. We're going to get to kind of warm, muggy today. We're already at about 16 degrees at the airport, but West Shore, looking at Langford, we've hit 17, so it's warming up out there. Full forecast to come right now. Over to the sports. Okay, some local stuff first off. Pacific FC losing 2-1 to Halifax at Starlight Stadium yesterday. It was a game that was supposed to be the new Pacific FC coach, Terry Dunfield's debut, but he was delayed because he's doing some broadcasting for the FIFA World Cup. And I guess with the schedules, didn't quite work out. So he wasn't there yesterday. He will apparently show up tomorrow for team practice. And new coach Terry Dunfield is joining us in about 10 minutes here on the program. We're going to meet him and talk about trying to turn this Pacific FC season around, because with that loss yesterday, they're still winless on the season. Also, Victoria Harbour Cats swept by the Kelowna Falcons in baseball, including yesterday's 9-2 win for Kelowna over Victoria. So that was the case for the local scene on the baseball for the majors. Emerson Hancock of the Mariners bullpen extending Seattle's scoreless streak to 24 innings, and Mitch Garver hit a 2-run homer in a 4-0 win over the visiting Toronto Blue Jays on Sunday. Toronto shut out in consecutive games for the first time this season. So a big one for Seattle over the weekend in their 3-game series against Toronto. FIFA World Cup now. Lots going on. Portugal and Spain will meet in the early game at today's round of 16 soccer schedule. Portugal coming off a victory over Croatia and Toronto, while Spain blanked Austria and Los Angeles. England and Norway earned victories yesterday to reach the quarterfinals as well. But then off-field controversy seems to be overshadowing the build-up for tonight's U.S. game against Belgium. Belgium's soccer federation is challenging FIFA's ruling that American star Flo Balogun can play despite getting a red card in his previous game. World Cup stars and coaches are also criticizing the decision to defer the ban for 1 year of probation. And U.S. Donald Trump is caught up in all of this because he did a call to the FIFA president and I guess made the case, in sort of his intervention in all of this is one of the things in the spotlight. Donald Trump even talked about it at a news conference that I asked about the controversy.
I asked for a review because I didn't think it was a foul. And, again, I'm good at this stuff. I didn't think it was a foul. I thought it was two great athletes that crashed into each other and got entangled.
All right, the World Cup world is alight with this controversy as we head towards that U.S. game tonight. That is your CFAX 1070 Sports. It's 8:39. Hey, CFAX Morning Show is brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. Need a cab? Download the new Bluebird Cabs app at Bluebird Cabs Ltd. They're proudly local and Canadian-owned and run since 1946. In traffic, it continues to be a very mild kind of commute. I'm looking at the commute from the Costco area of Langford, kind of Millstream and the Trans-Canada Highway all the way into downtown Victoria. That's a 23-minute drive right now, which is very easy compared to some days when there's actually a commute. So I think a lot of folks are still off today. It's kind of like that last week. We will see a full closure, kind of where you take the brand new Keating flyover, and then you get off the flyover by Central Saanich Road there. They're going to have that fully closed tonight and then tomorrow night for some road work. So just a heads up for that. That's not a problem right now, but that will be an issue coming up. And some texters earlier today were letting us know about a few other things that we're going to be potentially causing some delays as the day goes on. This texter said, hey, Ryan, heads up for everybody. The intersection of Rock Bay Avenue and Gorge Road East will have the lights turned off with traffic control on site starting at 9:15 this morning. So that's coming up. It's not in effect yet, but thank you so much to our texters for letting us know about the possible road work there. And then this texter said the intersection of Souk Road and Machosen Road will be under construction with delays for sewer main work starting at 9 this morning as well. So a couple of things to watch for a little later. On the markets, S&P TSX down 117, which is starting to make a bit of a recovery after a bigger drop to start the day. It's down to 35,157. The Dow is down 38 to 52,861. Canadian dollar at 70.4 cents US, which is down a little bit compared to the close on Friday, but it's actually recovered a little bit from previously this morning.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
So glad you could join us and make CFAX a part of your day. So my youngest son is turning 12 tomorrow.
Okay, big deal.
Big deal.
Big party.
But it's a Tuesday, so, we celebrated back on the weekend.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Awkward day to have a birthday. It's like Canada Day on Wednesday.
Exactly.
You got to celebrate when you can.
Precisely. And you know what we did? This was really cool. Have you ever tried VR, virtual reality?
No.
You put on like the headset and you get brought into a different world.
Okay.
We went to a VR place. So this wasn't just at home. There's like these new operations. There's a couple of them in Victoria that have opened in the last little bit.
Okay.
Where you can you go in. They got like a room you go into. You put on a VR helmet. You get a couple of controllers in your hands, which are your hands in the actual virtual world, and you do random adventures. Like, we shot zombies for a while.
That was his choice, obviously.
Oh, of course. He's turning 12.
What do you want for your birthday? I want
fighting some zombies.
Knock off some zombies. Okay.
But it was really cool to put on the helmet and actually run around this room in this virtual world. I'm sure we looked ridiculous if you were not wearing the helmet.
Well, yeah. That in itself was probably worth the price of admission. I'm just going to watch you kids go.
Yeah. But no, it was a great fun. There's a couple of these things now.
Do you have to actually run around? Like, do you have to get physical with it?
Well, I mean, yeah, because you walk.
So you do it, okay.
You walk in the room, but in the virtual world where you're wearing this helmet.
But you're not bumping into people?
Well, you see the other people in the room with you, but they look different. They'll look like, a soldier in this case, or if it was like a fantasy game, maybe you look like, I don't know, like a wizard or, whatever the scenario is. Like? I think I just looked like a soldier fighting zombies in this particular case. But it was really neat. So there's a couple of these now in Victoria. If you are interested, I just thought it was cool that we have these things now. There's one on Yates Street and another one on Johnson Street that have opened, both fairly recently.
Okay, what's the cost? Got some questions here.
It's not cheap.
Okay.
I think it was, I don't know, you can get various tiers of them. I think it was like $40 per person in that range.
That's not bad if you're taking somebody out for dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, so your wife was involved too?
Yeah, and my two kids, including
so you don't
the
have to
birthday
be
boy.
super physically fit to do this.
Oh, no, I mean, you're not like running.
Okay.
You can just kind of walk around.
Okay.
You don't have to actually
zombies
do
just show
anything
up for
too
you.
crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long does it go on for? Like, how long do you book
45
for?
minutes.
Okay. You probably already said that, but now I'm on board, so I'm actually curious to possibly do this.
Maybe this should be a morning show bonding experience. Let's go fight zombies, Lisa. No?
What are our other options?
You can do escape rooms, too.
Oh, okay.
Like which is cool. You can do. They have some cartoony games too, where you can just do some fun things
for younger kids.
Yeah.
And what is the age range?
I think you have to be over 5 or 6 or something like that.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah.
Okay. So for sort of 5 to 80 can be involved.
Yeah.
You just got to put these on. Okay. I actually find it quite interesting, and the price isn't bad. It's not it's not shocking price. It's what I would expect they would probably charge for something like that.
Yeah. And I think, again, it varies depending on what you do. But that was what I paid this weekend.
So did he have fun?
Oh, he had a great time. It was a blast. No, it was very successful. And here's the other thing is I've tried VR before in the past.
Okay.
Where you kind of get a little queasy sometimes.
Oh.
But the fact that in this new stuff, you actually walk around, I feel like that fixes the problem, because before it would be the sensation that you're moving around, but you weren't actually walking around. You've got the helmet on.
Right.
But you're sort of stationary. And then, in this game, you're moving around, but your body isn't, and that confuses your brain. Does that make any sense? Whereas in this case,
it absolutely makes sense.
Where in this case, you are actually walking around.
So it
matches up with
with what your brain is doing. Your inner ear, as it were. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. So could they have one like, say, you wanted to ride a horse?
Maybe
horseback riding.
Maybe. I
And
mean,
get the whole feeling of a.
I guess they'd have to put like a horse and
They'd have
maybe
to
like a device that you'd sit on that
You
looks like
sit
a
on
horse.
the saddle.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. I like this because I also like this because I think of, you're taking your 12-year-old to this for his birthday party, which is great. But I've seen this for seniors too, where seniors are, basically chair-bound or bed-bound. They put the headset on them and suddenly they're watching a concert or they're involved in whatever, that is, sort of age appropriate and depending on what you're dealing with. And I like this idea of that kind of escapism because I think it helps people. I mean, you had fun. How did you feel afterwards? Did you feel kid-like afterwards?
Oh yeah, no, it's
Embrace
you
your
get this-
childlike enthusiasm.
You certainly get a rush of adrenaline when a zombie suddenly rushes at you from like you kind of turn your head and you're like, oh, there's a zombie. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyways, a couple of these things have opened up in Victoria recently. I just thought I'd pass it on since I had
like
that
it.
experience.
Okay.
Maybe worth checking
Where
out.
was dinner, by the way?
Oh, the birthday boy, he's 12 now.
Yeah.
And he loves steak of all things. He couldn't just like chicken nuggets or something cheap. No, he has to like steak. So we took him to the Keg
That's
and
fair.
spent way too much money, but it was a
Well.
wonderful experience. They did a great job.
Going out
It
for
feels
dinner.
fancy.
It's probably one of his big fancy dinners.
Yeah, big fancy dinner for being 12
That's
after
cool.
fighting zombies.
Very sweet.
You work up an appetite.
That's what a 12-year-old boy was.
At 8:48, let's get to the headlines. Here's Lisa.
Ottawa promising to simplify processes to make it easier for small and medium-sized businesses to land federal contracts. Procurement Minister Joel Lightbound will announce some plans to fix the clunky mechanisms that made it very difficult for small business to win this kind of work. The government says that starting this summer, they'll be redesigning contracts with small business in mind. The department says by the end of the year, it will try to put more tenders in plain language for applicants and find other ways to reduce the administrative burden, the red tape on prospective vendors. Details surrounding Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding in Madison Square Garden are slowly emerging. Adam Sandler apparently officiated the wedding. Swift's brother Austin served as the man of honor, and Kelce's brother Jason was best man. Guess you say that you would have never known you're in a big arena. Madison Square Garden was the spot, saying they first walked through a tunnel that featured photos of the couple and then passed through a so-called secret garden. The reception featured performances from Stevie Nicks and Paul McCartney. It was catered by the couple's favorite New York City restaurants. And no, we didn't get an invite either. But moving on. And that's your news to 8:49.
Coming up next, we meet the new coach of Pacific FC.
Listen, and you're there for heart-wrenching knockouts, world's biggest stage, and breathtaking triumph. 2026 FIFA World Cup, the knockout stage. Every match, every moment. Listen on TSN Radio. Join the Globe on the road to the July 19th final. 2026 FIFA World Cup. Stream it all live on TSN Radio. Available on iHeartRadio.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather, no crashes, no sailing waits at BC Ferries. It's smooth sailing all around, all across the commute, no matter where you're going. In the weather, it's also looking good with sunshine today, highs of 23. Some humidity in the air, though, a humidex of 25, making it feel a little warmer. But then watch out, some big winds coming tonight. Gusts up to 70 kilometers an hour off the Juan de Fuca Strait with lows down to 11. Right now, it's 16.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, I'm excited to meet the new coach in town. This is Pacific FC's new coach, who I believe is going to start in the role tomorrow, joining the team's practice. Terry Dunfield is joining us on the line. Sir, how you doing?
Yeah, really excited to chat, Ryan. And yeah, that's the game plan starting tomorrow.
Great. Now, I'm really excited to meet you and find out more about your role with the team, what you're going to be up to. But I also know that you are doing some broadcasting with the World Cup. So you're a busy guy right now. You got two things going on.
Yeah. I've been really lucky to play a small role at the World Cup, and it was a once in a lifetime opportunity in my hometown of Vancouver to be a part of it. And it was something I committed to before Rob Friend had spoken to me about the opportunity with Pacific. And I think it's really important to do what you say. And I was wrapping up some work with our under-20 team as well prior to that, our Canadian youth national team. So it's been a busy 5 or 6 weeks since the announcement, but my heart and head has definitely been on the island for a while.
Yeah, shifting into that mode. But yeah, when it rains, it pours, eh? Like so much stuff happening all at the same time. And just before we leave the FIFA stuff, I just want to talk about that. The experience of, you're a guy. So Vancouver's hometown for you, right?
I grew up in Vancouver, moved over to England for 13 years, came back, played for the Whitecaps for a bit, traded to Toronto, and then finished off back in Europe. And then the last 10 years, I've been coaching in Toronto, but born and bred from Vancouver.
That's right. And then there you go. You get to be a part of this this FIFA World Cup hosted in your hometown, in part with Vancouver as one of the host cities. Just real quick, what are your thoughts on that? Sort of just experiencing the World Cup as a guy who's deep into soccer yourself and seeing Canada embrace this the way it has. I would just love your thoughts on that real quick.
It's incredible. It's something I never thought would even happen here in Canada, let alone Vancouver. And I think what it's evidenced is that there is a real soccer community in Canada. And when we come together, it's special. 5,000 fans outside our studio at almost every broadcast has been incredible. It's just been so much fun.
And thoughts on Canada's exit here, losing on Saturday to Mexico. They're out. We're sad, but we're also, I think, not sad because this is the best a Canadian team has ever done.
Yeah. So Mexico, England yesterday was for me the best match of the World Cup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. But to see us go out against Morocco, on paper, you'd probably say we were up against it. Morocco, the sixth best team in the world. But I think there's been a ton of growth since we played Morocco in the group stages in Qatar 4 years ago. I thought we were the better team for the first half. We weren't able to score when we really needed to. And a couple of little details kind of undid us where you probably, or I do, I leave the tournament wanting just a little bit more. But I think that's a good sign. It means I really believe in the players, and I think the guys pioneered, left the jersey in a better place, and there's tons to build on. And I really agree with Ryan what Jesse Marsh said, that there's so much potential, not only in this group but in the country.
Well, it's so exciting to see soccer get such a boost. And locally, our big team is Pacific FC, of course, playing out of Starlight Stadium. But they're in a bit of a hole. Here we go. We're well into the season now. 0 wins on the season. And, of course, we saw the dismissal of the previous coach, which is why we're talking to you, because, of course, you're stepping in to hopefully turn things around. You're arriving tomorrow. That's your first day with the team at practice. Talk about the sort of hole you got to get out of here.
Yeah, I think first maybe it's even a further step back, Ryan, to say to give James Merriman a shout out, the work he's done over the past 7-8 years. is amazing. And when this opportunity was first presented, I think Pacific has history, has legacy, won CPL in 2021. So I think I'm coming to an organization that has real credibility. And sometimes after a while, change is needed. And hopefully I can bring some new ideas, some energy, change the culture a little bit. And I think there's a lot of season to play. There's still probably 2/3 of the year. So I'm really excited.
Is there, I mean, I don't know if it's too early to say, but is there something that you think you could bring to turn to, what kind of difference do you feel like you could make right away? Or is this a longer term project to get in there, get to know this team and start to make changes? Or I guess, yeah, what do you do when you first hit that pitch tomorrow?
Great question. What are your thoughts?
That's true. Well, I don't know. I'm wondering sometimes is that magic, just a new coach shows up and, maybe there's something psychological because that seems to be some of the things with sports sometimes is it's head games and, maybe just showing up is something to help light a spark.
No, for sure. And I think there's some science behind that. If you can get a couple early wins, you are able to build some momentum. But I think the biggest couple for me are us being really clear on who we are. I think in 2021, Pacific had a clear identity. So I think that'll be one of our objectives in the next couple of weeks for sure. And then I think that leads into just how we recruit. I want to create the best environment in CPL to help develop players and add value to players and also staff. I think that'll be important. So ensuring our environment's right and our recruitment is connected to our identity. But I think winning for us is also the stadium in Langford, the stadium in Victoria full again, and that's also winning games. So just finding that right balance is going to be important.
Well, I hope we can stay in touch during the process because I think a lot of folks, with the soccer bug right now at the World Cup are really curious about our local team too. And as you get in there, we'd love to keep chatting. So hopefully we'll talk again.
For sure. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for making the time.
That's Terry Dunfield, Pacific FC's new coach. He'll be there at practice tomorrow. But that's it for us. We're out of time. Talk tomorrow.